Now, I'd like 2 eggs over hard. Now, I'd like 2 eggs over hard.
Wake up. Time to die. Station. Pop, pop, boom, everybody. Welcome to PCP Movie Night. Here on Pop Culture Philosophers, I am Rockin' Robbie Billups. Tonight, we're talking about one of the most unsuccessful in its initial release science fiction movies in history, but also one of the most profound science fiction movies in history, according to some. We're talking about Blade Runner tonight. And every time I've mentioned this today and in the last few days, I have to clarify the original 1982, whatever version that you wanted to watch it, and we'll have that discussion too. But 2049, there's only one Blade Runner to me. Speaking of only one Blade Runner, there's only one Verno from the Cerebros. What's up, my man?
What up, Mr. Papa Boom? How we doing? Psyched to be talking about Blade Runner with you. Psyched to be on PCP Movie Night for the first time. This is exciting.
This is not your first PCP.
It's my first PCP Movie Night.
Bruh, Station.
Done a lot of DHS with you and other things, but yeah, pretty damn sure.
Well, the first of many, I'm sure.
Hells yeah.
Okay. I like it. Manny's here and he's like, oh, this ain't 2049. I'm out. Speaking of 2049, it's Joe Corallo from 2049.
Yes, and the Joe Corral from 2049 also thinks Blade Runner 2049 blows. It's anything good about the original Blade Runner is scuttled and ruined in 2049. It's a very pretty movie, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Speaking of doesn't like Blade Runner and still very pretty, it's Jelani. What's up, Jelani?
What's up? See, I got pushed down because I told you earlier. It's okay though, because hi guys, what's up?
That's hilarious.
I will say this though. I love 2049. It's fucking gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
It's gorgeous.
It's
Story
gorgeous.
is nothing. The story is nothing. Just like this movie, we gonna talk about it.
Well, I think
I feel it late. I know. I'm in the minority, but you know,
I've done this. I'm ready to rumble on this. Like,
yeah,
I've been there. Like,
I thought it was just gonna be one big. I thought it was just going to be one big Ridley Scott circle jerk tonight, but apparently not. Speaking of circle jerks, it's Mike06. What's up, my man?
Whoa!
Sorry, I was sneezing off camera, or trying to sneeze. I don't want to just sneeze all over the
You
mic
always have the best intros, and you never plan them, do you?
No. And I'm usually mic'd or muted. So.
Yeah,
Mike
that's
is
the main
mic'd.
one.
But yeah, I guess I'm the only one on here that actually liked the story for 2049. There's a lot of good stuff in that movie, and I don't think it shits on the original Blade Runner. So
we're gonna get there, but
We'll get there. Speaking of getting there, it's Brooks rounding out the panel tonight. What's up, Brooks?
What's up?
You excited to talk about Blade Runner?
I sure am.
Have you seen 2049?
I have.
What cut of Blade Runner did you watch this time?
I watched the final cut. Of course.
Of course. Yeah, it's whatever Ridley told us to watch.
Yeah.
That's the one. All right, let's talk about this movie. 1982. A lot of great movies in 1982. All pretty much got swallowed up by like E.T. and Poltergeist. Just gobbled up The Thing and Blade Runner and Tron and all. I don't like Tron, but Hammer Time Holsey likes Tron, so I always have to kind of at least mention it with the rest. But anyway, Blade Runner to me is a brilliant freaking film. Now, I don't remember or can't quite peg in when I first watched this film, but it was with narration. I remember. So it must have been like on VHS or something when I was super young. I have no idea, right? But I remember the director's cut DVD coming out with that Warner Brothers DVD clamshell case thing or whatever, and watching it, and that was the first time that I was like, this movie's brilliant, right? And like putting the pieces together that it's Ridley Scott, who did Alien, who did this movie, who did Legend, who did eventually Gladiator. Like when Gladiator came out, I was already a Ridley Scott fan because of movies like this. I love this movie. I list it as in my top 5 favorite movies of all time. Like I have a high regard for this film all the way across. Like from the opening shot, this entire movie is mesmerizing. Like that's the best word. Like I'm just hypnotized by this movie. It's got some faults. I am super forgiving of any fault in this movie because I just watched this movie and I am enraptured, right? The aesthetic is like old school, like meaning like it's kind of got that 40s detective kind of vibe, but futuristic, inventing cyberpunk kind of, right? And then it also has this like super futuristic, but old school ancient type feel where everything looks like temples, like the big giant Tyrell building looks like a temple or something like that, right?
Yeah, California's very Japanese too in this movie.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of like the integration of like the idea and vision of the future to me is amazing. The sound design is some of the best I've ever experienced. There's just layers in this movie, layers of story, of thematic material, of sounds, of colors, of visuals. It's such a great movie that touches on so many key aspects, but so subtly, right? And to me, my preferred version is the final cut as well. Pretty much the director's cut, but with a little bit of polish. So, what do you think about the movie? What's your favorite cut, Verno? What do you think?
I think it's a super dope movie, and it's one that I hadn't even seen until I think I was just telling you last week, like a handful of years ago. I really wasn't even into the nerd world until like maybe 8 years ago, and I just got obsessed with finding everything I could find. I kept hearing about Blade Runner. I'm like, all right, I'll check it out, and I bought it digitally, and I bought the original. I bought the narration version of the film, and I really didn't love it. Like when I first saw it, I was
your
like,
first mistake,
you know what I mean?
Padawan.
For real. And it's one that I kind of have a different experience with every time that I watch the movie. So I've definitely grown to appreciate it. It's always beautiful, but the first time I'd seen the movie, which I'll say my favorite cut is the final cut. And the first time I'd seen that was like 2 weeks ago. So, you know what I mean? I don't have nearly the experience with this movie that you guys have, but it is so much better. The final cut is than the cut that I had watched like a handful of times a few years ago. So I think it's beautiful. It's one of the more interesting movies ever. So I'm a massive fan at this point.
Nice. You know, there are a lot of people that do prefer the theatrical cut with the narration.
I think most of those people probably grew up with it, if I had to guess.
Yeah,
You know what
probably.
I mean?
Probably, because it is not good.
It's ridiculous. It's like, what? It seems like parody.
And you can tell that thank you, Manny. You can tell that Harrison Ford did not want to do it or deliver it, and it's so evident, and it's so awkward. It's Stan Lee-ing the movie, right? Like, no, we get it. Like, why are you like when Roy dies and then he starts talking, I'm like, well, this is one of the most impactful scenes in the movie, and the narration just ruins it, you know? So I don't know. I'm with you, man. I like that final cut. I like that polish. I like the vibrancy of the cinematography in it. They really brought it out. That's all from the original material. So really cool stuff. Joe, what do you think? Blade Runner.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's probably one of my top 5 movies of all time too. I've been, it was an early movie for me watching when I started working at Hollywood Video. So I was like 17. So I'm going on 20 years watching this movie. It's final cut for me as well. I've probably seen this movie 20 times or something at this point. I watched it again yesterday, and I just so happened to read Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep in December, not even anticipating this. So nice. I'm probably going to sprinkle some of that in for just a sprinkle of pretension on the in the book.
I'm a big fan of Philip K. Dick, and I really like that. I really like the novel, but it is vastly different, but still similar in certain ideas. It's still similar, right?
Absolutely. And I mean, the thing with this movie, and again, which is part of why the narrated version sucks, is having so much of it just up to you to figure out. And I think there's a lot of ways you can interpret the film, which is part of why I hate 2049, because it basically tells you none of that matters. This is what actually happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is part of what makes it suck, is like, oh, Rachel had a baby. Just fuck this whole movie. Like, it's just doing that stuff. But, it's like,
yeah, I was bothered by it too. I'll be honest. We're not quite there yet, Joe, though. We're not quite on.
No, we're not there yet, but no, it's
spoilers.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous. Yeah, again, the final cut, absolutely gorgeous. It's almost like once you get someone into it, it's like there are so few movies out there where it feels like there's no downtime, because it's so gorgeous all the way out. Even just like when he's at the Tyrell office about to do the Voight contest on Rachel, and just the sun is starting to get like that whole, it's every little bit of it.
It's like an Egyptian sun setting at the solstice or something, and flooding. Yeah. Like, it's just it's beautiful. It's so beautiful that even though it's got the most dumb and awkward and unconvincing romance in a movie ever, I just love this movie. I love it. Anyway, went a little negative there because we're about to get to Jelani, which until we met backstage, I had forgotten that Jelani is not a fan of this film. So, Jelani, what'd you think on the rewatch?
Well, I've watched this movie about probably 5 times, 3 different ways, over the course of probably 25 years, something like that. I don't like it. I thought it was the most overrated, overhyped, and as Joe beat my word, very pretentious film. I think I really think it's too long for what it is. It doesn't show anything. Oh,
sorry.
It's pretty.
It's less than 2 hours.
I know.
Yes, it's too long. Are you nuts?
For what it is. You're telling me about... Listen,
an
Joe,
epic story.
Joe, I listen to you talk, man. I listen to you talk. I listen to Verno talk. I listen to Robbie talk. Okay. I watch you.
Sorry,
dish.
No. Under 2 hours is too long.
I hear you, dog.
What did you expect, bro?
Listen, I knew it was happening. I was gonna be honest.
Have you met Jelani?
Have you met him? Have you watched the movie with me? No, you haven't. We're about to find out, though.
I thought this was gonna be a love fest tonight. All right, Jelani, you have the floor. You have the floor, Jelani.
All right. and it does has the most unconvincing love story. You will love me. I guess I love you.
We know how much you love a love story. Right?
Yeah, and I
Proved
do.
that with Brazil.
My
That
famous
is
lover of love stories and romances.
I do. I love love story and romance. This ain't it, buddy. And the best part of the movie, of course, is Rutger Hauer doing the speech that was ad-libbed. He ad-libbed the speech. So Ridley Scott had nothing to do with that. The miniatures look great. The music is fantastic. I'm not going to knock it. I don't knock it like that. I'm just saying that it's a dull story. It's like, I don't care about any of these characters other than Rutger Hauer. It just makes no sense to me. And I watched it in different versions and that dumbass unicorn shit. I don't care about that. They threw that unicorn shit in for fucking Legend, from footage he had from Legend. And he's just, I'm gonna put a unicorn in here. Now we gotta think about it. That's some pretentious shit. I'm sorry. I apologize. But I know I hate that other people that love this movie were supposed to be here for this. But for me, this is my Iron Eagle. I can't stand this film.
This is my Iron Eagle.
I'm going for it.
I love it. Well, did you watch it with the music at least? Because
Jesus Christ,
Brooks didn't watch Iron Eagle with the music. He watched a bootleg version on YouTube.
True. I watched it with the movie, yeah. I watched whatever Drew got me.
The music makes Iron Eagle really sore, Brooks. I'm just telling you.
Actually,
I'm encouraging you to watch it one more try. Okay.
But it's the hill I'm dying on.
All right.
And I know you guys. I mean, I knew going in what I was ready for. But
bro, we want you to let us know how
you gonna tell me. You gonna tell me in the crawl that there were times where they went to space and some space shit happened, and we didn't get to see no space shit happen. How dare you? How fucking dare you?
Because this movie is about those left behind.
I don't give a crap. I mean, them damn. Is it a replicant? Is Harrison Ford a replicant? I don't give a shit. It makes no sense to me. It makes no relevant sense that happens in this film. We're gonna get into it more, but
all right,
God dang it.
I got you.
Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
All right. Speaking of Latter-day Saints, Mike, what do you think about this film?
I love this film. It's the number one on my top 5 of all time. So.
Wow, a lot of top 5s of all times, and Jelani's just like pissing all over it.
Sorry.
Fuck you, Citizen Kane.
Citizen Kane is awesome, and I love 2049. I love it. That's gorgeous. I don't give a shit about that story, but I watched that shit in IMAX. It was worth my time and effort. It was
all right, Jelani. Mike listened to you talk. He listened to Joe talk. He listened to Verno talk, and he listened to me talk. So
I sure did, and I apologize.
Well, I mean, once you get them started, it's kind of hard to stop. So,
all right, Mike, let's calm down. Okay, we've already handled the situation. It's your floor. Let's talk about the movie.
I guess if I had to pick a favorite version, I'll go with the international version. It's the same as the original version with the commentary cut out. But for this, I watched the final cut because I assumed.
Well, the international version was the theatrical cut, just with a little bit more violence. So you're talking about the director's cut or the work print, probably.
No, the international cut didn't have the voiceover in it.
You're right. It only had the voiceover at the death of Roy.
Right.
It had the voiceover there. That's the work print, which got called the international cut, I think.
There are too many cuts of this, man. Jesus.
So
as legendary movies have. I wish we had 5 cuts of Super Mario Brothers. Sorry, Mike. This is your time.
Man, that would be. I would be down to watch all.
I know you gave Mario a 4.5, so I'm expecting a lot out of Blade Runner from you. Okay, young man.
I know what Blade Runner is already. So if it's the number one, so. But no, it's a great all around movie. A lot of y'all said valid points. The music, the effects, the shooting style, the props, the acting, the directing, all that is just phenomenal to me. So.
Hell yeah! Speaking of phenomenal, it's not Dylan, but it's the closest thing we got tonight. It's Brooks. Brooks, what do you think about this film, man? And what's your preferred version?
Well, I remember the first time I saw this movie was when you got the DVD special edition in like the suitcase.
The fucking briefcase, man.
Yeah,
I was that nerd, man.
Like one scene of the movie, Like, so I thought this, like, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, this briefcase has got to be like a big plot point in this movie or something, right? And it's just like in one scene, it falls off the back of a fucking car.
Yeah.
So I thought that was weird. But I remember I think we watched the, it had like the original version, the theatrical version, right?
Yeah, it had
I
all
think I
five.
remember us watching the
Didn't it have
theatrical
a little
version.
police car in it? Like the little
Yeah,
police
it had the
car
police
inside?
car. It had the origami unicorn. It
Yeah.
was in a briefcase. Had a bunch of extra shit.
I remember that.
I got rid of it. Now I
like
just
the
have
final
this.
cut. The final cut's better, I think.
The final cut's the best. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the final cut's the best.
So overall, what do you think, man?
I think it's good. I might even go so far as to say it's very good. It's it's one of the it's a classic. This movie's a classic for a reason. It's a very good, and it kind of brought the whole cyberpunk aesthetic, into cinema. It was more of a kind of a thing in like novels and stuff back in the day. But actually seeing it seeing this kind of like futuristic, like high tech society mixed in with like this kind of grungy, like almost kind of punk rock style atmosphere.
Yeah,
it's just like it's unique, and I remember like I used to think that this movie was an anime just because of the when they used to run the infomercials for Akira back in the day.
Wait.
Like one of the things they used was like a quote from somebody saying that Akira makes Blade Runner look like Disneyland.
Well, like, and Akira's like supremely influenced, I think, by Blade Runner.
Yeah, like Akira, you can tell, like,
And we're about to be doing that on Comics Revisited. So, like, we've been getting into Akira.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's a great fucking comic, by the way.
Yeah, and the way it's said in the commercial too. I wish I had like a sound clip of it. It makes Blade Runner look like Disneyland.
Yeah, we need a button. We need a plethora of buttons, and that's one of them. Right?
Yeah. Just randomly, Blade Runner looks like Disneyland.
Yeah, all I have is the overhard. I need to find that clip and cut it out because all I have is the overhard bit. So I really need to step up the game. But you like the film. You think it's significant.
And Delaney's wrong, of course. This movie's a classic. It's great.
Well, this
There's
isn't about attacking.
Wrong. Sometimes
This
it's
isn't
wrong.
This
No, you
isn't
can
about.
attack me. It's cool.
It's not about
No,
attacking
come
each
at
other,
me.
y'all. It's about dissecting this film, attacking,
Come at me.
getting into. All right, let's get into the characters. Lots of great characters in here. Some major ones, some minor ones. I want to know what's the most interesting character / best performance from you, Verno. What do you got?
I feel almost bad about being in the first spot because I think most people think like the most interesting character is probably Roy Batty. He's the most complex, kind of sympathetic. It's one of the best performances. He's got the best speech at the end, and just his look is a part of the aesthetic of this film. Like this dude's blue eyes and blonde hair are like so like he's got an iconic look.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's a dope ass character that he has the best moments in the film and has the best scene in the film.
I would agree with you 100%. He's my favorite character and my favorite performance. The character, it's so like they don't even go into it. You know what I'm saying? But like there's so much there. And what Rutger Hauer, and one day we will do the Rutger Hauer Power Hour, and we'll just talk about all of his films because this dude is such a brilliant performer.
Blind Fury, damn it.
That moment when he's telling, I think it's Priss that one of them has died, and he goes through this like almost childlike, like wave of grief coming across
Only
him.
2 of us left.
Oh my goodness, man! Like he breaks my heart in this movie. And is he supposed to be the bad guy? Because I feel like Decker's the bad guy.
He's not.
That's
Decker's the
part
villain.
of what's so
Well,
interesting
Decker's like
about
the
it.
crony of the villain.
What's that, Brooks?
Like I think that's kind of what I found interesting about this movie. Is like when you think about it, like Deckard isn't the good guy in this movie. Like
No.
the police chief or whatever, he's the main villain. That's the way I see it.
Oh yeah, authority,
Yeah,
of course.
We're
We're
actually the heroes.
of course.
Yeah,
this
it
is
was.
This is an anti-authority movie, according to Brooks, like they all are. Yeah, Brooks is a little punk rock. It's got that static. I guess that's why I called it cyberpunk, right? Kind of creating it on
something there.
maybe I don't know. Was it the movie? It was or the novel? Is it Neuromancer? That's like where it started, cyberpunk or something. And this is like the first cinematic interpretation of it or something like that. I am not well versed in cyberpunk, but this is one of my
Billy
favorite.
Idol started cyberpunk.
You thought Billy Idol started it? I thought it was Max Headroom. But speaking of cyberpunk aficionados, Joe, what's your favorite character / performance in this film?
I'm gonna go with Zora. She is absolutely fantastic in the little bit that we get from her. She tells us a really powerful story very quickly. She's a working class woman who was not designed to be a pleasure model, who is, because they escaped to Earth, that is all she can do. And they don't, again, they don't treat you like an idiot. They just do it and hope that you follow it. But I think it's a powerful, understated thing about the film that I don't hear a lot of people talk about. And all the quick little lines that she gives about, would I be working a dive like this if I could, afford a real snake?
Yeah.
And how she's in this awkward situation where she does, like, early on in that conversation, she thinks someone's trying to take advantage of her, and she's playing it with a little bit of power until she realizes that someone's there to kill her, and that scares her. And the way she quickly, like, in the span of a few minutes, she goes from, I am this, powerful character, to, like, I'm going to try to one up you, to being absolutely terrified for her life and brutally murdered in public.
Yeah. Through
like
glass.
that.
It's not murder, it's retirement.
Yeah.
Yes. But to do all of that and just watching her change, and how her changing mirrors her discovering what's actually happening.
Yeah.
And, like, there's so much little nuances to it that, it's a scene that I don't think gets the credit it deserves in this film.
Plus, she's got that badass hair dryer.
Yeah.
I was going to say her badass see-through jacket that she's got there.
Yeah. I that's a great way to point at it, because so far, 2 people through this panel, they're all the replicants that we're talking. Well, everybody's fucking replicant in this movie, but it's the so-called, the bad guys, the ones that have to be, like, killed and captured or retired or whatnot, right? There is so much with so little. Like, Rutger Hauer's barely in this film, but Zora's in it considerably less, And you're right. There's so much that's conveyed in that scene. There's some other, in fact, all of those that group of 4 replicants, we could just go right across. You know what I'm saying? To me, honestly, the least compelling character in this entire film is Harrison Ford's Deckard, right?
I agree with
but,
that.
bro, you're right there on the money with that. And I almost thought it was interesting how she comes out. She's got the snake. She's got her hair slicked back. She's out of performance. She is top notch. We ain't mods in the chat. I'm busy right now.
We got a horny replicant in the, in the
right.
chat.
You know what I'm saying? Speaking of sex workers, she, like, when she goes to she's wearing boots. She's got that weird armor on and the see-through jacket. Like, she almost feels more vulnerable than she does first coming out of set, right? And that flip that happens even visually, I think, is very, very striking. All right, I guess Manny left. All right, let's handle this. Up. There you go. Thank you, guys. Where you at, Fable? I see you. Oh, never mind. He's already handled it. Somebody's already handled it. Okay. Derailed. Sorry. Damn, the porn bot did its job. Speaking of porn bots, Jelani, what's a character you'd like to highlight in this film?
Beep, boop, beep, beep. Well, you got all the replicants. I love Rutger Hauer. He was my favorite character in this movie. So I'll take him, but Hobo with the Shotgun is trash. But he's got other great films. He's done other great works. I'm not going to do Rutger Hauer because Verno did that, but I will say that the speech is compelling. It makes me think and wonder and all these things. And it's such a short, just a quick hit, and you're just like, wow. And it made it feel like the roles of Deckard and Roy were just juxtaposed, because it's the hunter becoming the hunted, the hunt. Yeah, and it's just weird how he just saves his life just out of the blue. and that does what he does because he wants to convey that message of, the things I've seen. No one will ever experience that. No one will ever understand what I am feeling.
Yeah.
And this is it. I am sentient. I am here, and this is all I get. 4 years is all you get as a replicant, and that's it. And it's just it's so compelling to me, and I really enjoyed that him as a character, him as a villain. It like I said, I may dislike this movie, but there are points in this movie that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
And for him to get to that point and actually emote what he is feeling, which he could have done to begin with. He couldn't have sweet Tyrell's head in. You meet your maker, you take your maker out. It's kind of weird.
Well, there's an interesting philosophical discussion around that,
Frankenstein
right?
kind of.
It's Frankenstein meeting. Yeah.
But now he's free from that
monster.
burden, and then he realizes, and we're getting a little deep right now, but he's free from that burden. He's killed his creator, and now he is free to understand the significance of experience in life. Right?
He should have just experienced it and just let it go.
I feel like he plays like almost two different characters in the movie. He's a little like mustache twirly at times, but I never put it together that it's after he kills his creator. Because by the end of it, he's the most human character.
He's also like 3 years and like 11 months old. Right.
Yeah.
Like emotionally. And that's the thing. But he's been like the lead killer out there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and so like they're dealing with like, and he is handling the level of emotion that you're dealing with, not just being an adult, right? Imagine the baggage of just being an adult, but being that dude out there, like killing civilizations, probably, like seeing all this crazy stuff, doing all this crazy stuff.
And we don't get to see any of it. It's a crime.
It could have been
a freaking crime against nature.
If the movie was too long at 2 hours, you can't squeeze it.
Yeah, what do you
Bro, I'll tell you why it was too long. There are places, they're long, just
we'll get to structure.
Yeah, we're getting there.
But before we do,
Jesus whipped.
Mike, what's a character you'd like to highlight, my friend?
I would like to highlight Gaff, a man of few words and many origami designs.
Okay.
He's kind of it's an interesting question that I saw in a few forums if they were discussing if Gaff was actually a replicant. Also, so it was kind of interesting. But no, when you see Gaff, he's talking city speak.
He's got them Roy Batty eyes, doesn't he? He's got those beautiful eyes. Are those his real eyes? He doesn't have those eyes in real life. He didn't have those eyes and. Was he in the West Wing or some shit? I don't know what.
This is Battlestar Galactica.
I didn't watch that.
I'd have to look it up. But no, he starts off talking city speak to Deckard, and Deckard plays dumb. Like what's he saying? Like he's already testing Deckard. Like he's already pushing his buttons. Like he through the origami he makes snide comments. Like he doesn't want to go after. He doesn't want to do the job. He makes the little chicken. Like it's all very, very subtleness, and then he just escorts Deckard throughout a good bit of the first half of the film. So it's one of the things that we talked about earlier at the shop.
Yeah,
was like Deckard's kind of doing all his own things. It's like no, he's there. He's just kind of in the background and you don't see him. So
he is making those snide comments. Speaking of which, one of them is a Matchstick Man. Ridley Scott would go on to direct a film called Matchstick Men. It's the layers of genius in this film.
I saw somewhere he's giving those snide comments the whole time because he doesn't like respect the replicants. He's the one that is implied that he knows that Deckard's a replicant.
Yeah, he tells him basically with the whole thing with the origami is him telling him certain things.
Well, I mean, it's at the end he does leave the unicorn, but like I'll get into that in a little bit later. Of a rant, but he lets he knows where Rachel is, and he doesn't kill her. Like Gaff could have killed her, while Deckard's fighting Roy, but he didn't, and that's why he was just kind of like sometimes, that's why he said too bad she won't live. But we never really do. Like it's kind of like.
But then again, who does, right, or something like that.
Mhm.
And
Powerful.
it's one of those like enjoy your time, enjoy y'all's time together. So
Yeah. It's a really striking performance for, once again, done so much with so little in this film for me.
right, and that's one of the reasons why I like this film a lot, is because just like the Zora, it's small characters that come in and don't say a lot and do a lot, and then you get a lot from them. Even like the Terrell doesn't have a lot of scenes, but what he only really is in 2 scenes, but those 2 scenes are still very powerful and moving.
When we talk about storytelling, we hear 3 words repeatedly, a phrase: show, don't tell. Especially when it comes to comics, but like in movies too. You know what I'm saying? And there you go, right?
Right.
By the way, Joe Corallo and Beckstar did a whole bit from Blade Runner in there in the first issue. When I rewatched it this time, I was like, "Yeah, that's the bit he was talking about." There you go.
Look at Joe.
There you go.
Well,
What you know?
All right.
You can't miss it once you read it.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
you go. All right, Brooks. What about you? What's the character you want to spotlight? And a lot of good ones have been taken, I know.
Yeah, well, shit. I'm like, my first was Zora, and then my fallback was Edward James Olmos. I'm having to fall back on my third choice now.
Uh-oh.
Fortunately, there's like a lot of good characters in this movie to choose from. You, but I'll go with Pris. Pris is I like the character of Pris because like it's very much like, you know, she was designed to do a certain thing, and like it's like she's learning how to use it to her advantage. Like she knows how to act vulnerable, you know, to earn a guy's trust, and then, you know, turn around and, like, you know, manipulate him a little bit.
Yeah. And the best cinematic Harley Quinn we've ever gotten.
And I love her like acrobatics and shit.
For like 20 seconds.
Yeah, that's Harley Quinn. Like, that's what you need to do. Daryl Hannah in Blade Runner. That's what you need to do. Put Margot Robbie, let her do that shit, and we're good.
She was
I
doing
thought
that
it was
stuff.
weird
She
though,
did
like
Suicide
when she has Deckard dead to rights, and she like backs up and starts doing the flips. It's like, why didn't you just kill him?
Yeah, she could have killed him while she was on top of his head, and she's just like, I'm gonna break his
Like maybe
neck.
it's just like
She didn't do
she
anything.
just felt like she had to do it with like a flourish.
They went out of their way to let us know their intelligence levels.
Right.
Like, they explained all that. So we know that she's meant to be a pleasure bot, right? Like, so her intelligence level is a little bit lower. She does have some athletic ability. It's incredibly well thought out, actually, when you think about it, right?
Mhm.
So the dumbest, though, of course, is going to be Leon.
I love Leon. He was my backup. I love
Yeah.
Leon.
Leon's great,
Wake
man.
up, time to die.
So real quick, going through the rest of them. We got Leon is great. James Hong as Chew. I love that bit where he's
Yeah,
like,
that
I
was
just
you, my
make the
backup.
eyes. Like,
Yeah.
the poor guy, you know, he's like, he just makes the eyes. You're like, that's
Leon
great.
setting eyes on his shoulder and shit.
Leon, just from the beginning, that's really good stuff, man.
He's horribly murdered, right?
That's my second
I-
favorite scene is at the beginning with Leon.
I love Joe Turkel as Tyrell. That's the dude who's the bartender in The Shining.
Yep.
Like, I asked
Yeah.
Mike earlier, I was like, that
is him.
that is the guy from The Shining,
Yeah.
right? I had to look it up, but it is. But my favorite is Roy Batty. But one that hasn't been mentioned is William Sanderson as J.F. Sebastian.
Yes.
He was
His
great.
performance is amazing. That dude's in Deadwood. He was in Newhart. That was the first thing I ever saw him in. He was
Yeah.
Daryl with his brother
Yep.
Daryl
With the-
and his
Another
other brother
brother,
Daryl.
Daryl.
Yeah.
But like, he is so good because in the scene, for instance, when Roy and Pris basically convince him to go along with them and lead them to Tyrell, he knows it's over. And you can see it. This joy and just despair all at the same time, which I thought was handled incredibly well. So much of this film is handled incredibly well. The style, the structure. This movie looks beautiful. It is gorgeous. We talked so much about the final cut. They get to embellish those colors, bring them back out the way they should have been, because the laser disc is where they got the DVD scan from or something like that. So going back to the original negatives, the original footage, and being able to bring out the intended richness of that. I applaud the fact that in the final cut, Ridley Scott didn't make too many, like, he didn't George Lucas it up, right? He didn't like, let's throw a CG in this, let's do this. He didn't even fix some of the glaring mistakes. He just fixed like the most glaring, like where like Harrison Ford's mouth didn't line up, or when Zora's going through the the glass, and it was obviously it was a stunt double with a bad wig, and they fixed all that stuff and they made it work. In the final scene with Roy, he lets go of the dove, and in the original cut, he goes up and it's a clear blue fucking sky, and you're like, what? Like, okay. So they fix those little things, but like cinematically, I think it is a mesmerizing film. It's like I said, it's not just captivating, it is hypnotizing to me. This film, it's like 2001 for me, where I can literally, like, even if I wasn't stoned, that movie would make me feel stoned. Blade Runner's like that to me. You know what I'm saying? So what do you think about the style and structure? And by the way, real quick, as far as pace goes, this movie is just shy of 2 hours, and it feels to me like an hour and 25. So I don't know what the fuck Delaney's talking about, but we'll get to that. So Verno,
I love how y'all like
style and
pull
structure.
up the one thing. It's like, it's too short. No, we're so short.
I mean, shit. While we're on the subject, that is one thing. Like, I get what you're saying. Like, it's not that it's too long, because there's nothing that I would say like, oh, this could be cut out or this could be shortened. It's the slowness of the film that probably, for you and for me, like sometimes, like it does put me to sleep sometimes when I try to watch it, but I'm kind of a sleepy fucking guy, so that's a big part of it.
It makes
you know
feel stoned. That's what I'm saying.
Well, especially
Tell
because the
me
first 3
that there's
times I
space
watched it
battles.
was with Deckard's narration, and that is sleepy as hell. So that's part of it. As far as, did we lose him?
Is Delaney
You lost
okay?
me. I'm over here losing it.
He's been fucking
My
retired.
camera fell. Somebody came at me, man.
The look of the movie is obviously just unreal. The models that they use, and just little things like I didn't even notice it until like the last time that I watched it. It's always at night. Like the whole movie takes place at night, and just all of the smoke and all the fog in the movie, the colors stand out as being like, that's the cyberpunk look when you think of it, is those neon colors. But then just like you were talking about, like the beauty in the scene in Tyrell's office, but then there's like the detail, like even in that when Deckard grabs the guy by the tie and he's like, where the fuck is this? Just like look in the background of like every scene. It's just jam packed with just detail. There's detail across the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I do get it. It feels slow, and it's a little slow to launch kind of after that Leon scene, because that Leon scene is like the most upbeat scene in the movie. But like I understand exactly where Delaney's coming from with that. Like I felt that sometimes when I watched the movie, especially before I watched the final cut. So
I get you. And also we're talking about special effects here too. So real quick, I just want to say this is probably some of the absolute best optical effects you're ever going to get. Like this to me is better than Star Wars. Like the original, like not the retouched ones or whatever. Even watching just the original cut, like this is fucking beautiful. It is masterful. I think it's some of the same people that are doing this film at some points with the miniatures and whatnot, but like aesthetically super pleasing. But
hell yeah.
It does have a slow pace, and that's why I like taking away that narration, because that's the point of it. It's supposed to me be this kind of movie that's like to be experienced more so than telling us like a story. You know what I'm saying? Like this, it gets into all that shit, but like to me, it's more of like an experience. I know we've been talking about that a lot lately.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway.
It's got like that 70s vibe. Remember when I told you when I went into it, I was watching all these 80s movies, Indiana Jones and Star Wars and like Back to the Future. I was in that mode. I'm like, fuck yeah, Blade Runner.
But that's
you know
what
I
happened.
mean? It's
too.
got that lived in kind of like 70s vibe to it.
People thought that it was going to be this like action-packed sci-fi movie. That's how it was marketed.
That's what I heard.
But that's not what it is. This is a movie for people that fucking love laser light shows. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Which I do. And so does Joe Corallo. So Joe, what do you think about the style, structure, special effects of the movie?
It's so unique, and it inspired generations and still goes on to inspire filmmakers to this day. There are very few movies like that, really. And I mean, that's all part of the problem with 2049 too, is no one on earth is going to be like, I became a director because I saw Blade Runner 2049. You know, like it's Blade Runner
made
is
now.
just such,
It's made now.
you know, but Blade Runner, just the story and structure, part of the structure, the world building, at no point in the movie, like a lesser and just a worse writer and director and team would have had things going on where there would have been a scene where someone was like, I remember being a kid before the environmental collapse, and now it rains every day in LA. Like, you would have had that shit happening. You don't have that. Everyone knows it doesn't rain every day in LA, and it's not like that, but they incorporate it into this world. And it feels real and lived in because no one talks about it, because of course they wouldn't. Like, that's just, it's so subtle and masterful in every possible way. And beyond that, the way the story's structured, you can, from the final cut, and the director's cut too, but from the final cut, you can come at it with multiple different outcomes. And you can watch the movie being like, oh, he's a replicant. Oh, he's not a replicant. And different scenes mean different things to you. And different scenes call out different things. And so few movies could ever accomplish that. And this movie does.
Yeah.
When people talk about it, you know, like again, like the love story, it's like, I'm sorry, 2 almost 4-year-olds have a bad love story. Like, of course they would. Like,
Right? Because, like, if they're
yeah.
both replicants, see, that makes it make more. Thank you, Joe.
Yes.
Thank you.
No,
thank you.
but it's like, if
because
they're
that is
both
the worst
replicants,
part. Because, like,
yeah.
Harrison Ford did not like Sean Young.
No.
And it's pretty fucking obvious. They have no chemistry in this movie.
No.
Like, at all.
Zero.
But maybe that's purposeful.
I still
Yeah,
hate that scene
I mean,
though.
It's
Sure,
the most
but, like,
awkward, like,
Right. It's like,
tell me you want me. Say
Tell
I
me
want
but
you.
it's but if it's 2 3-year-olds, how else would you do that scene?
right.
Exactly.
Like, you know, so
They mention
yeah.
he even mentions playing doctor as one of her memories. It's almost like that's what they're doing. They're playing at it.
Yeah.
Almost in a way.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at it that way, but you could also interpret the movie where Deckard's a replicant and she isn't. There is we never meet Tyrell's niece. We are never they talk about it, like when Deckard's talking about, like, who would share this story? Like, how would I know these stories? I got this information from Tyrell about the spider giving birth and playing doctor. Why would his niece tell him that? Why, you know what I mean? It's like, you're saying that Rachel wouldn't tell that story, but the niece would, so you'd incorporate that. It's like, okay, so then what exactly is the technology you're using here? Did you scan her brain? So why couldn't you scan someone else's brain? It would also make sense as to why the Voight Comp test couldn't detect her till over 100 questions, because she's not a replicant. And when he leans in at the end to like see if she's like breathing, and like he thinks she might already be dead. Why would he think she's dead? Because she's a replicant and her time would have been up. So you can interpret that moment as, oh, she should be dead, but she's not, because I guess she's not a replicant.
Because he allegedly knows her inception date.
Yeah. We are to understand, but if he has access to her memories, he would know her incept date.
Yeah.
So he's like leaning in and isn't sure if she's alive. So like you can take that as, oh, that was a lie. She's actually not a replicant, and he's the replicant, and that's it. And that because of that going on, she had to get killed because that would get found out. Like there's ways you can look at it that way, and different ways to interpret it, look at different scenes and get different outcomes.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like baked into the structure of the film, where it's open and vague enough in certain ways, because they don't tell you everything that's going on, that you can take these sort of things out. You know, while, you know, it seems like the cops and all of that are like sort of the bad guys. It's like, are there? They're all just working for Tyrell. Like they're basically just working for Tyrell, and Tyrell's doing like it's. So you can also view it as like, okay,
because he rats Rachel out. He rats Rachel out, didn't he? Yeah.
You know, so why would, and again, it's like, why would he rat Rachel out and do this to Rachel unless he wanted her dead? She killed Leon and saved him, and Tyrell gives them the orders that, oh, she ran away, you got to kill her. But it's like, but we know where Rachel is. Like, Rachel wasn't like on the run.
Right.
Like,
well, Rachel also asks him, like, when she first meets Deckard, she asks him, have you ever retired a human on accident?
On accident.
Yeah. Yeah, and all that stuff. And
I don't know. Is it, you think it's like that? Because I always interpreted her story as more of like, what would it be like for a replicant to think they're human and find out that they weren't? Like, what would that happen? Like, what would happen then?
Yeah, but you can look at that as, oh, she's the one who wasn't a replicant then. They're trying to make her think she is, and Deckard's the one who is the replicant that didn't know he was a replicant, and go at it that way. And that's it. There's enough stuff going on in the movie where you can watch it with that in mind and be like, oh, actually, I can see that. No, her asking if he's ever retired a replicant by mistake because she's not a replicant. Like,
so you're saying that if you try to convince your girlfriend that she's crazy when she wasn't, that's gaslighting.
Yeah.
But if you try to convince your girlfriend that she's a replicant when she's not, that's Blade running.
That is Blade running, yes.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Jill Lady, what do you think about the style and structure of the film?
Listening to all
Good
that.
thoughts,
like,
Joe.
Yeah, it was. Saying listening to all of that was like, although listening to Harrison Ford narrate during Blade Runner. Because
damn, Jelani, Joe is our guest. What are you?
And I love Joe, but Joe, man, god dang it, that replicant junk. Harrison Ford was human. She was a replicant. He was trying to save her. I see it as that in the five times I've seen this movie. He's terrible at his job, but as far as physically trying to fight these things, he's getting his ass whooped. Roy breaks 2 of his fingers. He's holding on for dear life. He's dead. Now, he might not be a Nexus 6, but why would the police force keep a replicant to track and kill other replicants? Other than that, it's in 2049. But for this measure, why would that happen? I think he's human. I think he was human the whole time. Harrison Ford even says in countless interviews that he had a falling out with Ridley Scott because he was like, yeah, he's human. And Ridley Scott's like, nah, bruh, he's replicant. So I'm going by what the actor would say going forward, even though Ridley Scott made the final cut to make it look like it was a replicant going forward. He threw the unicorn in, which the unicorn, like I said before, is used stock footage from Legend that he put in there. He was just like, I'm just going to throw this in here just for fun. And then he's like, this is the dreams that he has. And it's never explained why the dream is there. Doesn't explain any of the other parts. And then Goff makes the unicorn. So he's like, I know who you are, but he really doesn't. He just knows that that's a unicorn. He was there. It's just a calling card.
It's like, okay, so they express the importance of pictures as memories. Okay.
Yeah.
They do the whole weird bit about, and honestly, the only detective work we ever see Deckard do is super zooming in on the
right.
Yeah, enhance. That put me to sleep, son.
We're not on theme yet, but memory is one of the themes in this movie, I think, right? And so, like, the idea that memory can be captured by photos. Well, your photos can be fake, right? Like all these, Leon goes back to get his photos, and what is Deckard got right there at his piano when he's playing his song? He's thinking about the unicorn, dreaming about that, and he's got all of his photos of his family.
Those are Leon's photos on the piano.
Those are Leon's photos?
Yeah, those are Leon's photos.
Those are Leon's photos on the piano.
Never mind. Sorry about that, guys.
But at the same time, man, it's just like...
Because he grabs the photo off the piano, then goes over the machine, pours
Right.
himself a drink, goes over to the machine,
but I thought
and
he
then
had-
starts fast forwarding.
I thought he had
Leon's.
he had Leon's, but I thought the black and white ones were his.
No, that's all Leon's photos. He's got them spread up across
That's
so you can
interesting.
look at them.
I have to relook at that because I thought the old school photos were his alleged history.
No, that's not
No.
his history. Yeah.
Also, Tyrell jumps in and says, like, Rachel is special. She's unique. She's one of a kind. She's a unicorn. When he daydreams about the unicorn, the next thing that he does is he calls Rachel.
Yeah.
Rachel
He
is so
does.
much of a unicorn that he's not going to kill her. He's
They're
going
trying to
help
bring
her
these
escape.
fuckers together to make a replicant baby.
We're the
Gaff understands that she's a replicant and she's a unicorn because she's one of a kind. Also, like you've heard me say today, like if Decker's a replicant, what is he? He's
the
not a
next
Nexus.
I think-
Triple X, man.
I think he's a special Blade Runner replicant. Well, okay, you guys know
I think he's
where the
human,
red
human.
eyes in the
He's human.
I
theatrical
think he
cut.
bleeds. I
He's
think he
human.
bleeds. He bleeds and
We'll
he
get
breaks
to
his
okay.
fingers.
All right, we're just getting to it real quick.
But
then. So
anyhow,
hold on.
Leon,
hold
he's
on.
fighting Leon. Leon's getting punched in the face, and Leon's like, "That didn't phase me." But Decker's getting punched in the face,
They
and
get
he's
his
getting
ass
thrown across the
kicked.
car.
But he
Decker's a
did get his
human.
fucking face smashed in anyway.
Right, he just did the
Delaney,
Harrison
Decker's a
Ford
Finish up real
face
quick.
wobble.
Delaney, finish up.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, now that being said, and it's beautiful to look at. It's technically wonderful. Like everything about it is fantastic. These miniatures are fucking top notch. I really enjoyed the pacing of the film. I am lying about that part. It is too freaking slow. I'm sorry. For a 2 hour and 57 movie, it felt like an hour and a half. No. It drags in places where it shouldn't drag. There are whole scenes where there are things that you could have added. And I've watched a ton of films. I've watched a ton of stuff. I'm sorry I'm not like a cinephile where I need to be. But man, I watched this movie 5 times, 5 different times over different periods of my life, over different versions of my life. Each time puts me to sleep. The first time I saw Blade Runner, I did watch it with the narration. I was like, this is terrible. Oh my God. And he's talking. He's like, I can't believe Roy died, man. Nah. Yeah, I hated that. But
See, that's what the problem with the world is.
it's just
The
like
ladies can't handle their Blade Runners.
you can't. I watched like different Blade Runner cuts, and I'm like, which cut should I watch for me to understand that he either is or isn't a replicant? And it's just it's too much to.
That's
to
not the
put
point of
together.
the movie, though, to me, man.
I know. And I got a theme. I got my theme. I'm
Yeah,
ready.
we'll get to that. Yeah.
But I'm good.
All right.
But
Jill-
it's pretty, but it's too drawn out for
Okay.
what it is. I'm
Gotcha.
sorry. Oh yeah, and Harrison Ford playing that random voice for the girl for the snake lady.
Right.
That random thing.
Right.
I
that
love that
makes
bit, man.
no.
So ridiculous.
He should.
It's the
that.
kind of thing a 3-year-old
doesn't
would
know
come up
him.
with.
Yeah. Oh,
Exactly, because he's a
really?
child.
He's human. He's human.
I like that bit. Anyway, Mike, style, structure.
Sorry,
what do you
Joe. He's human.
The one of my favorite shots. A lot of the cinematography in this is really amazing. One of my favorite shots in the way that it syncs up with the sound is when you first see New Los Angeles for the first time. It opens up that the fire's coming out. It makes that just that bling, like here it is, and then it's all in its glory, and like that whole just coming into the model, into the city, was really cool. Another one of my favorite. It's a whole long block of scenes, but it starts with him going. It starts with him on the street talking to the lady, and it's just like, yeah, the snake's locally made. Here it is. It's the Egyptian. And then like that scene where he's in there, it's all shot through. Like he walks up, he taps on the case, and then it's all shot through that case. Like it doesn't follow him in. It's not behind the guy. We're just watching this profile from the glass case. And then it's like, hey, it's over here at the club. So then he goes to the club, and it's all tight. And then and it's like even more of the detail of it. And like you look around like the payphone that he's using, like of all the of how just worn, like you could imagine that thing looking brand new, and now it's just all worn out. But then he makes the phone call. He makes the phone call to Rachel, and then it's just like, hey, come on. And then he goes and talks to Zora, and the way that they have this, the way that they're both moving around the room. It's just like they're both the antsiness of like they know something's going on, and it's the cat and mouse, but they don't know like which one's the cat, which one's the mouse, and you're trying to figure it out. They're trying to figure it out, and then Zora splits. Joe knows the scene because that's what he did in his book, but the glass shooting, all the different angles, like that is great. And then you get the cops show up, and then you get the whole thing with Leon and Rachel shooting. Like that whole block right there is just it's something to look at. It's intense. So it's hard for me to explain without like breaking it down without images, but it's that's probably one of my favorite scenes, a block of scenes.
I'm sorry I don't have a slideshow prepared for you, Mike. You need to let me know ahead of time next time for that.
Well, no, I could have gone into like that level of.
No, I get you.
No,
you can go in depth on this film, man. It's fractal in that kind of way, almost.
So, but it's just there's so much to it, and then just the camera placement for certain scenes and the way that he did everything, the lighting, and it goes back into the whole thing of. Is Deckard real or a replicant? Like, there's so many times where it's just so dark and you just see reflections off eyes, and then it doesn't matter. It's off of replicants. It's off of humans. It's off of animals, especially the
humans
owl.
it off of?
You can look at just go back and look at like you can see reflection in gas glasses. The sergeant and the thing. There's all these just lights bouncing off eyes, and then they do like a close-up of a lot of like okay, cool, he's looking at the thing and he's studying it, and you can see the movement from the coming off the monitor in like Decker's eye. But then like even at the sunset in the pyramid with the owl, like you can see it shows that it's.
I thought it was just replicants had the red eyes. That's why to me it was like
it's just
10,000%.
No,
he's
you
a
see
replicant.
it. Yeah, you see it in the owl too.
Well,
I mean,
but the owl's a replicant.
But it's not. What
the
I'm
owl's
talking
a replicant.
About. The owl's a replicant, but I'm talking about just the use of light, like the way that they had the positioning to where, like all you're seeing is light coming off of the screens.
Yeah.
So it's like it's all darkness. It's like me turn off the lights, and then just you can see the reflection of everything in my eyes.
Yeah.
And like even in.
Well, it's almost like a cat night vision type thing too. Right,
and it's kind of cool because it's not the, and like you get that one shot of the orange glow, like in all the replicants you see it very predominantly, but then in like Harrison Ford's the glow is very light and dimly, like it's hinted at, but it's never really, because you can see it in all the different times of the replicants, but like in his it's just that one time, which looks like it just looks like a lens flare just came across his eye.
It's intentional. So the cinematographer is Jordan Cronenweth, who had done Altered States right before this, and right after this did The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension.
Nice.
Which is one of my favorite films, and also the concert film U2 Rattle and Hum. So there you go.
That too. It's great.
Me too. That's the one that when I went to see Child's Play when I was a kid. I started crying in the middle of it, so they had to take me to go see Rattle and Hum instead. It's a weird thing. Speaking of U2 fans, Brooks, what do you think about the style and structure of the film?
I mean, it's good. I like it a lot. Yeah, this movie, this watch, I wanted to one thing I wanted to try and do this go around watching it was pay attention to the world of Blade Runner more, because, I had the whole Blade Runner looks like Disneyland thing in my head. So I'm like, but does it though? And no, this movie does not remind me of Disneyland. I regret to say, but it is a very visually interesting movie. I love the giant advertisements, the giant screen on the building with the geisha lady, and then the blimp and the Coke ad where it's just like a red screen and it's just like the word enjoy flashes on there.
Yeah.
And then it flashes to enjoy Coke. It's like a subliminal message almost kind of thing. And the
And that
setting
was
of this
a-
movie
that was
is
a
like it's such a deep and interesting world, because if you actually like pay attention to like the people in it, they seem very disconnected from everything. You know, everybody's just kind of like milling around, not paying much attention, and like, and it's also kind of, it's very oppressive atmosphere too. And like, I take that to mean like, you know, because like the police in this movie are presented as kind of like, you know, there's a line where the chief tells Deckard, he's like, "You're either a cop or you're little people," and like, I think that's kind of like, you know, explains why this is kind of, it's a very grim society. It feels like in a lot of ways, it feels like, you know, very repressed. You know, not a lot people are kind of, you know, not so much drones, but you know, they don't seem to, you know, revel in their freedom, you know, like you would expect. And
Yeah.
They're less human than human.
Well, it's yeah, and it's a whole world that's built where it's subtle, but they're telling you that most people have gone off world, and the people who are left behind couldn't afford or weren't
you
deemed
get the feeling
physically
that
or mentally
police
capable.
are very like, they're very in control.
Yeah.
Like even when he's doing his research and, you know, the cop comes up and like pulls him and like is basically like, you know, pulling him over, I guess. And he just has to tell him like, "Oh, I'm a Blade Runner," and he gives him his number. Like it feels like those cops, like if he didn't have that, they probably would have been like, you know, a little rougher with him.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I love that they're building up this whole idea that like they've wrecked the environment. Animals
That's why
are
it's
barely
raining.
not even there.
Yeah.
You know, like, but it's all subtle. It's not like any other movie would have given us like a wall of text instead of just like the definition of a replicant. Like Blade Runner gives us a little bit of like backstory, but most people would be like, in the year 1997, this happened and this happened and this. And they don't do that. They just like we all live in this world. We look into the future and we're like, yeah, we could wind
Yeah.
up in Blade Runner.
Brazil Brazil doesn't do that. Brazil doesn't do that at all.
Yeah, you know, so I mean, they're very similar films, so it's interesting to have some of these cast of characters here. All right, let's talk about the music real quick, because aside from the visuals in the movie, the main draw is also the music. Now, I always called this dude Vangelis, but I kept listening to this dude today, kept saying Vangelis. How do you pronounce his name? This dude. Vangelis? What do y'all think?
Steve.
All right, well, Steve did a fucking amazing job with the music in this film. Like, it is electronic, right? But it's also like cultural sounding, right? Like, part of the world of Blade Runner is that and it's part of the city speak that Mike was talking about. All these different cultures have kind of combined and merged into one when the majority of the population has left the earth.
Like
and
Firefly.
what is left kind of comes together. The city speak evolves. This multicultural world, heavily influenced by Eastern influences, right? You got the street vendors, you got all the noodles, all the Asian characters around and stuff. Like, it's a really cool world. And you think of something like Firefly that gets credit for building something like that. And that's like a baby's first Blade Runner, if you really want to think about it, as far as building a world that's like, what happens this far into the future if there's some kind of economic collapse and a lot of people leave, and environmental collapse, and you're left with like, I don't mean this word in a negative sense, but you're left with the dregs of humanity. Then now you have a new civilization building up from like the lower. So you have people like Tyrell coming in and being like pharaohs, basically, right? Like in their big giant pyramids or
That
whatnot,
was
right?
interesting, like that he's this genius, but he's shown like when later on in the movie, it shows him like doing like looking at his financial stuff.
Yeah.
Like this guy's like supposed to be a genius who could be doing all, you know, this good, but instead he's just fucking
I love the whole
reading
bit
his
too.
financial papers or whatever.
The chess match lets him know what's going on. Like, I think he knows that Roy Batty's coming up immediately as soon as that's done. Because I think he knows this dude's not smart enough to do this. Right?
Yeah.
So that's really an interesting bit there. But the music also illuminates this multicultural approach to the soundtrack, to the score. And the sound design is some of the best I've ever seen. there's always layers of sound. That score, which, you know, we always think of these like expansive, majestic, hypnotizing, Vangelis like electronic scores, but there's a lot of like voice work in there. There's a lot of like stuff that sounds Middle Eastern. There's stuff that sounds Asian. There's stuff like and it blends it all into like a human sound. You could feel like this is a soundtrack Carl Sagan would send up on a fucking Voyager space probe or something. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I love the music. I think it's one of the best goddamn film scores we've ever gotten. What do you think about the music, Berna?
It's everything, dude. The music is like such a huge part of the movie. There's so many of those, like where they'll go long bits without dialogue, and the music's filling all that in. I think it's jazzy blues, futuristic noir type of thing. It's like it reminds me a lot of like Lethal Weapon movies. You know what I mean? Like those 80s, like the guitar that you get, but they replace it here. I don't know. Is it all synth or is there sax in it? I think it's synthetic saxophone.
I think it's synthetic.
It's
right,
synthetic,
yeah.
and there's a few songs that do have the saxophone in it.
Okay, I mean it's amazing, man. So I'll just
It does have that Michael Kamen vibe, though. You mentioned Lethal Weapon. He's the guy that did Lethal Weapon, and he's done so many film scores that we've talked about, right? Like it's got that vibe, but like. This dude did Chariots of Fire?
Chariots of Fire.
Like, everybody knows that, but this is like, dude, I just listen to this shit sometimes at work. Like, I'll just put this goddamn soundtrack on, and then all of a sudden I realize an hour's passed, and I've just been staring into the corner, contemplating existence.
Things I've seen.
Is that what you got, Verno?
That's what I got, brother.
All right, nice.
Music's the shit.
What about you, Joe?
No, I mean the same thing. Like I'll throw the soundtrack on while I'm working or writing or stuff like that. It's fantastic. It's everything about it, all the sound design in general, but everything. There's always something going on that's sucking you into the movie, and so much of it is also the soundtrack, and you want the music and the score as it is. Like so much of the scenes, like you can't cut anything really or shrink it, because you would hurt the music and the score of the film by doing that, because the music's so important. It needs to have its like arc. It needs to get from point A to point B. So it's not just a visual experience, it's an audio experience. There's so much of it going on, and it's just so I think the music's so vital to the continued success of the film after its initial flop. So
yes, and I think it's one of the most criminal aspects of the vocal narration is that it undercuts that score.
Yeah,
which I think is terrible, because there are moments where the music is telling you the story, like maybe not telling you the story, but evoking an emotion, right?
Oh, all that stuff leading up to like when Sebastian like kind of knows, like, I guess I'm gonna get murdered, like all that stuff before they go to Tyrell, like the just the way the music's going and turning, it's like, oh, this is really tense, and like all of that combined with it all just syncs up so well. And movies don't, a lot of times it doesn't feel that way, but like the lighting and the music and the acting and everything, so it feels like it's all these pieces lined up like just perfectly. And it's so rare to ever see that in any film, let alone a science fiction film that flopped in 1982. So
to anybody, my favorite musical score, obviously there's that beginning cityscape push in, right? But like when they close the door and the director's in the final cut and it just goes into that like NES fucking music.
Yes.
Like, I just like, speaking of NES music, 8-Bit Jelani, tell us what you think about the music in this film.
I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. It's placed where it is supposed to be. The score is just fantastic. I do love the beginning. It probably might be my favorite going forward. It it does pull you into this world. And it's such a, and like I said, the dystopian world of 2019, yeah, it's gonna look dingy and dark and nonsense, but the music goes with it, and it feels like, I don't know how to explain it, but like, I know you go back to Akira, but as far as I could see Blade Runner as an anime as well. Mm-hmm. Like, I could definitely see it as an anime as far as the way the aesthetic of the town looks as opposed to with the music. It does come together. There's certain aspects that I don't know if Rachel had a theme, but she had music in it that I really enjoyed as well. It all blends together, but like I said, it's still just too much for me as far as it dragging. I don't feel that the movie, like with the music, it helps. But I just don't think there's scenes that lull for me that don't work with that music. But yeah, I like the music a lot. The score is very nice.
All right. Speaking of a lull, Mike, what do you think about the music in this film?
Well, it like what Joe said, like the lights and everything coming together. Like I think that's really right there in the opening when you see the city. It's like I said earlier, and. But the music comes in and it's up and down. It is mostly synth. It does have like a little bit of horns, but not a lot. Not enough for you to tell. Like, you can't tell. You just assume that it's a synth. But it does have that great noir feel. If you go back and watch all like the Sam Spade stuff from the 30s and 40s, it's kind of got that same feel. Even Lethal Weapon and some I want to say Chinatown too kind of has that same haunchy feel.
Yeah.
And so it's just like that
crime
noir film noir, like just that it moves in with the soundtrack, and it's very whimsical and dreamy at times, and then it's very dark and it all fits for what it is, and they did a great job with this. And the thing that gets left out, and it's not really the music, but it is, it's part of the sound, but it's a lot of the noise from the ads,
yes,
the noise from the city,
the whole sound design, man,
whole, that all fits into.
It's rhythmic too, man.
Into
it's
this
rhythmic.
movie, because we go back and watch, like the cops have the move along. Every little noise has its detail that fits into the music, which fits into the story. Just even the ads have a certain kind of tone and a sound to them, and like every time you see them, it's weird. Like it's how that all fits together. So, but as I said, the sound department, along with the ambient sounds with the soundtrack sounds, it just really adds to the film.
Nice. What about you, Brooks? What do you think about the music?
I like the music in this movie. I mean, a lot of it, like especially like, when it comes to like synthy type music, I usually will go to it reminds me of Pink Floyd, and this one, like, a lot of it reminded me of that song "Shine On You Crazy Diamond" in a way, like that the way that they use the synth in a very instrumental way. And like that's how this movie uses it too. It uses the synth sounds to really complement the scenes. And like there's parts in this movie where the music kind of swells and gets kind of hopeful, even though the scene itself is kind of grim and dark. But I think it's kind of that contrast kind of works because it's kind of saying maybe things aren't so bad. Maybe there is hope after all. So yeah, the music in this movie is very good. Very good.
It's beautiful. It's amazing. It's fucking gorgeous. Okay. We're about to get to the theme of the movie, and what we're talking about here is not whether or not Deckard's a replicant. That conversation is going to be in just a little bit. But what is this movie trying to say? Verno, you're first. When it comes to character, it's easy when you're first.
Right.
When it comes to this,
right. Well, I mean, there's a million things. It's very late. There's a million different themes, but obviously, it's about the human experience like, and what it means to be human. But you mentioned it earlier. The thing that really stood out to me is about memory. Like, what would we be without our memories? Like, I'm sure you guys have heard it. Like, would you, if I could give you $1 million, you could travel the world. Like, would you do it? It's like, well, fuck yeah, of course I would. But what if you wouldn't remember anything? It's like, well, it's
Would I
you might
remember
want to
having
do
$1
it.
million?
Well, that's a good point. Okay, maybe take away the $1 million, but the experience isn't as important as remembering
Yeah.
the experience.
Yes.
So that's kind of what I took away from it most, and then especially with Batty's speech at the end. That's what he wants to just be remembered. That's why he's telling Deckard all this stuff, just so he can pass on his life experience to somebody, or at least a little bit of it, so he can be remembered. So there's a lot of things. I'm sure we'll get to many of them, but to me, that's the part of it that I want to highlight is the importance of your memories and how that really makes life what it is. Because without that, it's meaningless.
I'll tell you what, man, that statement in no way meaningless. You literally just in a nutshell captured everything. So that was a great start. So Joe, elaborate. What do you think this movie's about?
See, I take Roy Batty's speech slightly differently. But overall, the what the movie's about to me is humanity's already, it's decided it's over. It's done. All you have are good memories. That's it. That's all you can hope for, because it's very clear the Earth's done. Like no animals, the environment's shot. They trick people into having hope for these off-world colonies. They're a disaster. For all we know, most of these people are dead.
They're talking about that in the news bits over and over again. They're building that. Yeah.
So it's war and destruction. It's not that the rich people left there. They're trying to give people hope by saying, like, oh, you can go there. And I mean, it's part of advertising and tricking people too. But the idea being, you know what, the world's terrible, but maybe one day I'll have enough and I can leave here and then I'll be happy. And that's the best they can do.
Wow.
Ooh.
The American dream.
Yeah,
but that's
us
that's
now.
It's not
that's
like
the
rich,
movie.
If the rich people left, Tyrell wouldn't necessarily be there. You're right.
Exactly.
They're trying to get rid of people almost. It's like they're trying to sell them on a false hope. You're right.
Absolutely. If it was so nice up there, why would replicants come to a place they'd get murdered to if it's so nice up there?
Yeah,
and it's
right.
like, and you write it off being like, oh, because they're slave labor. It's like, sounds like maybe that's not a great place if that's what they're doing. Because
unless you're the wealthy, up there, like enjoying wherever you're at.
But
they had to come here looking for extra life. Is the one thing they had to come here to find someone that knew how to extend their life.
Tyrell's going to give us some green mushrooms. We're going to be fine. We're going to get some one-ups.
Exactly. But that was the idea of like, oh, we're going to come down here because we're going to find Tyrell, maybe get more life. But it's just the reverse, because they were living up there and there's probably people who were born up there with the same thing. They have hope of coming down here to get their freedom, and it's not there. So it's the movie is really about like that humanity is already too late for us, and the best we can do is hope for a better future that doesn't exist.
Damn, that's a rather hopeless and nihilistic view of the future, which kind of fits with Blade Runner,
right?
And the way
Philip K. Dick. I mean,
and
that's
Philip K. Dick.
A lot of his work is that.
Absolutely. He by the way loved the visuals. He died before the movie came out, but he loved the visuals. Didn't like how the story was going, because the book is a little bit different, right? Just
it is.
Jelani, what do you think the theme of the movie is?
Yeah, you guys are nailing it. Even Joe and his bleak turn of events. But yeah, I mean, I think it's once you're alive, how are you truly alive? What it is, the series of moments that you have, and I just expound on both of you guys on what you said so far, and it's basically what you're given when you only have a short period of time. What do you do with that time? Do you try to meet your maker? Do you try to fall in love? Do you want to set the world on fire? It's a lot of different things that come from it. I mean, Blade Runner does have a lot of philosophical aspects to it. I just didn't enjoy any of them, but it's just, it's just like, I get it. I understand that you make me want to think, because a lot of movies make me want to think. Brazil made me want to think when I saw it the first time. So, I mean, I compared to this.
What's got a better love story, this one or Brazil?
Fuck yeah, Brazil. Brazil 100%. At least he gets the girl and, like, I don't know, has it for a brief moment of true happiness instead of just running in an elevator and you don't know what happened, and it's just, I don't know. I think that it's the way that it's just a life well lived. I think it's just how a life well lived is supposed to be portrayed. And the replicants, did the best thing that they could to try to keep the hope alive, because they knew what living meant and they knew that they were going to expire. So they wanted to extend that. And when Tyrell gives them no hope of that, it feels like, what do you do once you find out that you have, very short time to live? I wouldn't have killed him. I would have hugged him and been like, thank you for the opportunity to at least get this far. I'm mad you made me, but you made me and I enjoyed this, the time I had, at least the time I had.
Well put.
I get it.
The good thing is that Roy realizes it at a certain moment in the movie. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not something he starts with. It's something that he learns. Mm-hmm. And that's something really interesting. Mike, what about you? What do you think? What's this movie about?
Well, I think Roy is essentially he's looking for revenge for killing his family, and realizes that it's greater, that life is greater than revenge. So there's that to look
Mm-hmm.
at. Because like when he does something, he's like, this is for Zora, and it's just kind of like he's hurting him. He's hurting Deckard because he's in pain, because he has feelings. And it's just everything has feelings, and you have to take those into consideration. And it's just like Deckard kind of looks at the replicants as the escaped replicants more as machines gone awry. I guess that's what I'm looking for. And looks at Rachel completely different. He looks at Rachel as the opposite. So it's just one's an evil machine, one's not a machine. But yeah, so I think Joe kind of nailed it. Which he kind of reminded me more of that NBC show on Peacock, Brave New World. I don't know if you remember. Did you ever see that?
That Dallas Huxley thing? Was that
that was the
You're
whole
talking about the Brave,
thing.
Yeah, the Brave New World, yeah. But Grant Morrison was one of the execs on that.
Yeah,
I liked Brave New World a lot. I thought it was really good. It's got a Han Solo in it.
Well, it was just kind of the way Joe was describing what Roy meant from his speech of giving you hope to get you. We're just trying to get rid of people, and the rich separating from the poor. Like a lot of that, that has a lot of comparison to. Because when he was saying that, I was like, hey, that's just like Brave New World.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot of just there's more to life. There's more to life than death, and life is worth living. And doing things you hate, and doing things that you love. So, you hate this movie, but you're here hanging out with your friends. So, it is what it is. And y'all pretty...
Thanks, Skip and Taj.
Everybody's done a good job on it.
Nah, man. Well thought out ideas, Mike, 100%. Brooks, what about you? What's the movie about? Authority? Anti-authority? Punk rock shit? Sex Pistols? Anarchy in the UK? What's going on?
Wow.
Well, this movie is like a big part of it is, the slavery thing. Like, the replicants were made to be slaves. But like, it's much about that as it is like, how they value their freedom and, their life, outside of that, maybe when they were, just doing what they were told, maybe they wouldn't have, cared so much about, the short lifespan. But, now that they've gone out and they've experienced life, had freedom, that taste of freedom, they know what it is to, want to do something and to be able to actually do it. That, like, they want more. And that's their whole goal, is like they want to, like, especially Roy, he wants to find this guy, and like if there's any chance that him and Pris and Leon and Zora, if they can have more of that, the more they want more freedom.
He's not trying to kill him. He's not trying to kill him.
It's like they feel like so much of their life had been wasted, as slaves doing what they didn't necessarily want to do, but just what they were, expected to do.
Yeah. So
like, it seems unfair to them. Like, we get so little time to actually, we just found this thing that's so great, freedom, the ability to make our own choices, to do what we want to do. And now, like, it's about to be over. So I think that's the main thing for me, is like, how precious freedom and, life is. And, how people, you just want to drink more,
Yeah, man. I really like that, Brooks. And to touch on that slavery thing, one of the things I love is that it ties in the idea of soldiers and pleasure bots as being the same thing.
And he says, like, to live in fear is to be a slave.
Yeah, right.
And like once that fear is gone, like everything was like so much different for them.
Well, that line is like a whole other level. To live in fear of losing your job, fear of getting fined by the government for some shit, like whatever your fear is, fear of getting arrested, fear of being ridiculed in public, like that fear makes you a slave. That's probably, I mean, that line is repeated. That's very much right there. But also the way that it's putting that up against actual slavery and mentioning, we love to be sex positive here. We love our sex workers, but the sex slave trade is a real thing, right? And the way that is equated with soldiers in war, to me, like, they're just bodies to be used however we deem fit. That's a fucking, like, that's the thing. It's about choice, right? What's the difference? It's about choice. Is there a choice? Is there not? Did Roy choose his life? Did Pris choose her life? Did Deckard? Did Rachel? Did they choose their life? Do we choose our lives? The fear, maybe, that we're not in control of our lives is what makes us actually slaves to those that want to control us, right? But to me, the overall idea, and there's so many things we can pick from this, it's like the thematic relevance of Blade Runner is like the sands on Pensacola Beach. And I just picked one beach because we don't want to get too into it, but there's so many grains of sand on that beach. Like, there's so many different layers. This movie has layers of visuals, of colors, of sound. It's got layers of thematic meaning. To me, it's about how the experience and the significance of life overcomes a fear of death, right? And what makes significance? You put significance on your life, however you deem it, right? You can look at certain things in one light or another light or many other different variations of that light. But you make your own meaning, basically, of your life. And memory is a part of that. But memory is, we can't trust memory. They could be implants, right? And I don't mean that in a Matrix, super conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat kind of way. I mean that we can't trust our own memories. I'm 40 now, right? And those of us here that are post 40, we realize we can't trust our memory all the time. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes our significance that we place on our life overcomes our own memory. So if memory makes significance, but significance is overriding that. So basically what I'm trying to say is that none of it matters in the long run, but the significance that we give it, and how does that significance of your own life last? The memory that continues on in other people. To me, that's the crux of the film. Roy realizes, I've killed my maker. I cannot have any more life. The life that I have been allotted and given is here, and reflecting on it, I have seen wondrous things. And it's all fleeting. All of it. But if I save this dude's life, he'll remember me. That's the whole point of it, man.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. The persistence of memory. One of my favorite quotes from Carl Sagan. So, there you go. That's what we think the movie means. Out of 5 possible you digs, what do you give the film? You out there in the chat? And Verno, come on, man. What do you give it?
Ooh, I don't think there's any perfect films, so I'm gonna go 4.5. I think we've said all of the dope things, but I think it's gonna get quite a few 5s. I get that, but I'll go 4.5 because it can be a little dull, and that's pretty much. And I get that. That's like part of the point of the movie is to give you that feeling of the dullness. What up, Dylan? My man. But yeah, I'll just kind of leave it at that. We've already said a lot of things about the movie. 4.5, a very, very solid 4.5. An amazing, like, one-of-a-kind film. Like, there isn't, especially not before this, there's no other movies that are really like this. So I'll just kind of leave it at that.
Nice. What about you, Joe?
If I don't give this a 5, what would I give a 5? So 5.
Right. Nice. Nicely put. What about you, Jelani? We're eager to know. Because I just want to remind everybody that last week you gave Small Soldiers a 5.
Did I? I doubt that. Seriously. Yeah, you all did though, because of your nostalgia. But
you gave it a 3.5, didn't you?
I know. And yeah, you're good.
Manny gave it a 5. That's right. Manny
gave it a 5. Yeah, because when you're kids and you watch Small Soldiers, I get it. I was in high school. I was just out of high school, so I get it. This, I've seen it 5 different times. I'll give it. I'll be nice. I'll give it a 2.5 because the music's good.
Low average, damn.
The music's good. I'm sorry, I don't like this movie. I don't want to watch it again. I like the music. I like the speech at the end. I like none of the other characters. I think the love story is tacked on and weak. I understand the themes of it. I feel that life and death mean a lot to it.
You telling me you like Hellraiser 3 better than this movie?
Yup. Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth. Wow, that was a good movie. That introduced me to the world of Penn.
That is a good movie, but goddamn,
really
come
good.
on, man. It's not a good movie. Let's be honest. Anyway,
let's put it like this. No, it's not. The cinema. But it's better than this because I love 2049 so soothing. I love
2.5.
2.5.
All right. What about you, Mike?
I was gonna give it a 2. So
I'm glad we swayed you a half of you did.
I do what I can.
I'll go 5-0. 5 you digs.
5 you digs. Perfect score. All right. What about you, Brooks?
I give this movie 5 too. I mean, it's good, and I haven't really talked about 2049. Really, I don't have much to say about 2049. I thought it was all right. It was, I didn't think it was as good as this movie. Like the original Blade Runner it stands alone.
Mm-hmm.
It's like on a pedestal for me. In 2049, I mean, it had some all right stuff in it, and like some parts, but overall, I thought it was pretty average.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
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 When I there's a video. It's like I think I did it. It was so early in PCP's career, but like I think I did a video. It was like Blade Runner. Do we like trailer reaction? And one of my whole idea in that video was, do we need a sequel to Blade Runner?
Nah.
Right? Like, and no,
stands alone.
We didn't need a sequel to Blade Runner. Like, it said what it needed to say, and to me, that movie didn't add anything to it. In fact, Jelani's thoughts about this movie are my. I
don't remember any character from 2049.
Yeah.
But I remember every character just about from this movie.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. No.
All right. Well, I'm going 5 you digs. It's one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time. I mean, 5. I think it's a damn.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily like the awkward angry romance that's in this
Sure.
movie. But
So
Joe
weird.
contextualizes it a little bit. Well, realize if you agree with the idea that Deckard's a replicant, him and Rachel are very emotionally young. I think the whole point of that is that they are two new replicants. They're trying to solve this emotional issue by giving them memories, by giving them a past, much like the production design of this world gives the movie a past. It feels, like we've said many times, lived in. And I think that's what they're trying to do. And I think they're intentionally bringing these two together to see what happens, right? But that concludes our review of Blade Runner. So 4.5 from Verno, a 2.5 from Jelani, and a 5 from Joe, Mike, Brooks, and me for a PCP average of 4.8. 68. Damn, that didn't work out. Didn't work out quite so well, the math tonight. Anyway, we'll be right back after a short break for a PCP back chat. And in PCP back chat, we're going to discuss the question, is Deckard a replicant? We're going to do that briefly with a little bit of show and tell. And don't forget that we are not going to be on the air next Monday night. But this Saturday night, check out Dylan's Horror Show for Ready or Not.
That's
Now,
awesome.
I will not be there, but Verna will be there. So
Damn
you
right.
definitely got to be sure to check out Dylan's Horror Show Saturday
movie
night
is
for
great.
Ready or Not. And then
Badass.
next week, we're not here because it's Valentine's Day next Monday night. And we here at PCP will not be anybody's excuse to not spend time with their loved one. Okay?
It's
So
beautiful.
there you go.
Oh, that's beautiful.
But in 2 weeks,
Love is love, baby.
What's a
2
loved
weeks, Weird Science, man.
Yeah.
I'm so
Nice.
excited.
Finally.
It's gonna be a good one, y'all. So we'll be right back here on PCP Back Chat. Thank you so much. And to close out tonight, I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I've watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the Tannhauser Gate. All those memories will be lost in time, like tears in rain. Time to die.
tell you about the man I know. His name is Hellboy. His name is Hellboy?
We don't do that anymore. Robbie retired that. He said we couldn't do that anymore. And we tried, and it's like
I'm sure if you paid him enough, he'll do it.
No heights with the men.
y'all drop some super chats for Hellboy.
Hey-oh.
Hey-o. How's it going, guys?
Well,
So-
Good.
Good times. Sorry I shat on your movie. I
Oh,
apologize.
you need that.
You're fine.
Dude, there's so many.
Now,
I'm sorry. I'm a smooth
It's not a universally loved film. Like,
No, not at all.
if you're looking for critiques on it, there's plenty of people shitting all over the film out there.
yeah, there's a lot of people that hate freedom too. So
I hate
you know.
freedom. Yeah.
no,
not?
but I
Blade
mean,
Runner equals hate freedom.
but the reality is, every one of us has movies that we hate that any one of us here would be like,
Are you
what
crazy?
wrong with you? You're nuts.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
whatever.
Last Jedi. Yep.
Well, I
same
think
thing.
it makes for better. It makes for better content too. Like when we did that Scream review, that was one of the more fun shows that I did because Robbie hated the film.
And people were fucking loving that. They were like, "Oh my god, Robbie hates the movie, and Dylan don't like it. What's going to happen?"
Panic ensues. It happens, man.
How are y'all doing? All right, let's that was the longest we've ever spent discussing one film here on PCP.
It's that type of film.
I appreciate it. Like, I think it was deserved. I could have gone 3 hours on this film. You know what I'm saying? Just alone. Like, I could have given a commentary that you have to watch the movie twice to listen to the
You have to
entire
watch the movie
commentary.
while listening to Dark Side of the Moon.
Yes, exactly. You know, you listen to it once
Backwards.
and then you watch it again
Yeah.
backwards, and I'm talking about it.
Blindfolded.
It's like some Tenet shit, right?
Yeah.
So for back chat, I want to discuss this real quick and then get into some show and tell, and then we'll be done. But Deckard, is he a replicant? Is he not? Me? Yes. Ridley Scott says he is. I don't care about that. To me, in the film, he is. That's the whole point. But actually, the whole point is not that. The whole point is that he starts questioning what he's doing once he kills Zora, right? He has like this crisis of faith almost. And we didn't mention that on theme, is that faith is a big point in this movie. Like, what do you believe in? You know what I'm saying? And like, so to me, he's a replicant. Why? The unicorn bit. Mike is going to go on about it. That's fine. But to me, the unicorn bit, when Ridley Scott was going to do the director's cut, he couldn't be there to really meticulously do it like he did the final cut. But he gave them notes, and it very strictly, very importantly, take out the narration, take out the dumbass ending. It ends here, and the unicorn scene goes back in. Why? And yes, the unicorn stuff is like it's like test footage for Legend, but the point is, it's a memory. It's implanted in him. The dude, the entire movie, that dude, what's his name, Mike? He was your favorite character, the Edward James Olmos guy.
Golf.
Gaff.
Yeah. So like his whole point in the movie, like Deckard doesn't have a past. Like he thinks he has a past, but we never see his past. All we know is that he's got a police captain. And there's this other police officer. Like usually in these kind of detective movies, he'll have sources, people he will go see to get information, shake down, right? You don't really get that from him in this film. And that's part of the element there, right? But the whole unicorn bit, but the also like when Gaff says at the end, what does he say? You did a man's job.
Yeah.
Okay, that you could just say that that's just throwaway dialogue, except for how intentional this fucking film is. Ridley says he's a replicant. Harrison Ford says he's not, because you got to have at least one human character to relate to in this film, is what he's saying. But to me, the point is it doesn't have to be a human character. What makes life? What makes humanity? What makes it? Is it memory? Is it significance? Is it being remembered? Where does that work out, you know? So, and then the writer says, he's not a replicant, but I wanted it to be ambiguous because that's the point of the film, is for you to question. So I think the best answer, honestly, is maybe, maybe not. But the point is, there's the question. But me, 100% he's a replicant. They do the fucking eye trick. That's intentional. They do the eye trick right after she says, have you ever given that test to yourself? And, you know, we haven't really talked about the book, but the book is really about empathy and how empathy is the defining difference, right? Like that's the defining human characteristic that gets manipulated, but also causes people to rise to heroism, right? So, like, I don't know. Like, is this to be an empathy test? Like, they're trying to get, like, because in the book, like, everybody does this whole thing where they, like, attach themselves to this machine, and they're basically in the position of this person who's being led down this road or something, and everybody's throwing rocks at him and shit. It's almost like a crucifixion type metaphor, right? Like, it's about, like, suffering, understanding the suffering of your fellow human leads to empathy. Or there's some weird, wild shit. Long story short, he's a replicant. They do the eye thing. It's intentional. What do y'all think?
I think dude's a replicant. I think the eye thing, I'm still not certain that any humans, I'd like to see this, like, I'll watch it again, I guess. But I don't think there's any humans in the film that you actually see the eye trick on. It's all replicants. It's all animals that are replicants. And
it's all of them but Zora.
I was talking about
light.
I was just talking about light reflection.
Okay. So not
just light
specifically
reflection.
The red, you know what I mean?
Right. Just light reflecting in general.
I kind of like what Joe was saying, how you could look at the movie and think that Rachel isn't a replicant. I have, like, kind of headcanoned, or like my theory on it is that Deckard is a one of a kind prototype type of replicant, and that he has lived longer, which is why he's a little bit more human than some of them, even though maybe he's not. He's definitely emotionally complex if he is a replicant. And that's because there's the one line where it's like, they're basically saying, like, oh, you've been gone for a while. You haven't been Blade running, and now you're going to come back. They're pretty much implying that he's been around for a while. Maybe it's only been 4 years, but to me, that line kind of implies he's been around, and they made him not as, like, super powered because he's a Blade runner. They want him under their control or something like that. So, I mean, that's just my own theory.
And what if he's like a resettable one? That's another thing, right? So, like, each mission is his first mission back from retirement, right? So it adds this whole new, like, I don't know.
I'm too old for this shit.
think they're intentionally trying to see if these characters can handle emotion by putting Rachel and Deckard together.
What if Rachel isn't the experiment? What if Deckard is the experiment?
Well, I think they're both the experiment. They both are replicants built with a past to see if they can handle emotion. And how do you test that? Put two of them together, see if they fall in love. Right? Like, I don't know. Like, that's just kind of my idea. What do you think, Joe?
You know, I think it's a little... I'm trying to think of exactly how to say this, because it feels like ultimately it's like a lot of things where it's like it's making people focus on it. It's a lot like just having conversations about society and really thinking about the ills of society and what the problems are, because it's making people hone in on something that isn't the actual issue. The issue is most of the people in this world are being exploited and abused. It doesn't matter if they're a replicant or not. And it's almost this like meta thing where they are now getting the audience by choices they made in the movie to discuss it. And just like in society, more people discussing Blade Runner are talking about the part that isn't important, when the important issue is actually people are being exploited and hurt and killed and abused for the amusement of and to prop up a very small number of people. So I almost feel like leaving it vague intentionally is serves that greater purpose in that sort of discussion, elevating that.
Yeah, and even if you look at the idea that he's not right, let's say he's human. It's the idea that, well, does that make his feelings for Rachel any different? Well, honestly, with the performance, yeah, because the performance, is
Yes.
like he hates machines, and it's rather abusive, that little love scene or whatever. But I get what you're saying, like the idea of like the idea that whether or not Deckard's a replicant is not the point of the movie, right? But it's something to make you think more about it. I don't know. What about you, Jelani? What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's the point of the movie to think if Deckard is or isn't. It doesn't really matter. I always thought it was human.
And
I mean,
maybe it is one of those half-assed things where he's just like later
He's
on,
just-
he's like, yeah, sure, put in the fucking unicorn.
Yeah,
That's what it means.
It's so weird, man. He gets his fingers broken. I go by what I see in film. Okay, what I saw, what was presented to me in this movie. I'm not going any bigger than that. I'm just saying he got his fingers broken. He got his ass slung around 30 minutes. He's a Blade Runner. Replicants are illegal. These police officers seem like they're on the up and up, even though they act kind of dirty, but they're still on the up and up. If he was a replicant, he'd have been dead already. I mean, if Gaff found out that Rachel was a replicant, he would have killed. He gave him a fair shot to keep going because he got the job done. And I'm thinking because he got the job done, he was like, I left her alive because like this is your prize. You get to keep this prize. But I don't think that he was a replicant. If he was a replicant, he'd have been dead. I think Gaff would have killed him a long time ago. He'd have been dead way sooner than this. The eye test, sure, but like Mike does say, it could be like reflection. It could be a lot of different things. Plus, he's administered that test like tons of times, I'm sure, to other replicants to test to see what replicants. Who cares? Well, let's put it like this. No, from what I see in this film, he gives that test. He doesn't freak out because he's giving the questions, but he knows the questions' answers. So knowing the questions' answers and he's being told this test, I don't think he's gonna like lose his mind and then be like, "Oh, I failed," and shoot somebody. I see him as a human. I don't see him any other way.
Well, that's how he
gets
that's how he views himself, right?
Well, then, yeah, that's how he views himself. And plus, here we go. Here's the other level. Hey, 2049, he's still alive. He's still doing his thing. He's old. He's doing his thing, and he's got a kid. So, that presents.
He's got a kid with a goddamn replicant, bro. Like,
yeah, I know. Yeah.
I'm just saying, like,
you put it in her.
Fuck 2049. Anyway, Mike,
That one was not very good.
is he a replicant or not? I fucking hated that movie. I thought it was long, boring, fucking dull. Like, I thought that movie was bullshit. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
How's the score?
You just like the way it looks. You don't like
Yeah,
the
it's
story.
pretty. It's pretty gorgeous.
I don't even care about how it looks.
gorgeous.
It looked fucking boring as shit to me.
Like I said,
So did Blade Runner. So won't.
Well, fuck you too, buddy. What about you,
Deckard-
Mike? What do you think?
Deckard's human. Like I'm going back and I'm watching it right now. Like I said, I'm watching it.
Yeah,
right
but
now,
what
going back and looking
model
at
of
that scene.
human is he, Mike? What model of human is he?
Well, we don't know Gas's backstory, but we just assume he's human.
Man and woman.
We don't know the Chief's backstory.
Gaff
we
might
assume
be.
he's
I
human.
think Gaff's a replicant too, bro. I think
I think they're
everybody's
all.
a goddamn
You know what?
replicant.
Every replicant.
I think
Why not?
Tyrell's a goddamn replicant.
Why
I
not?
think this is a world made of all replicants replicating themselves, clinging on to the hope of meaning in existence.
And this is why this movie sucks. Continue.
But I'm saying, like, I'm going back and I'm watching the scene where she's just like, "Hey, I'm a replicant. Like, when you're done, are you gonna come after me?" And he's like, "No, I owe you one." They're both standing in the same light with the same exact camera angle, and her eyes are glowing red and his are not.
His aren't.
Like
You're right.
there's so many times where Rachel and Decker are in the same room in the same light, and their eyes are one's doing one thing, the other one's not doing the same thing. So human, like this one little tease just to make it. He's thinking of Rachel. She's a unicorn. Tyrell already said that she's special and she's different. She's unique, like a unicorn. You know, Gaff didn't want to. Gaff was just like, hey, you did a man's job. It's just like, congratulations, you did a man's job. Because, you know what? Nobody else could have done that. He's not saying that he's a robot. He's just saying, like, he did a man's job. Because it's
the dialogue is so sparse in this.
Everybody wants.
Everything is so intentional with the dialogue, I think, in this
What's
movie.
that phrase? It's like everybody wants to be the man till it has to time to become. Everybody wants to be the man until you have to do the shit to be the man. Like that's what he did. Like he was doing shit to be the man. Not like, oh, he's a robot. Like
it's like my grandma says, everybody wants to shit on the wait a second. I fucked that up.
The one that only one I remember.
What's a good plate with nothing on it?
He didn't run up and start fighting.
Like,
superpowers.
he
doesn't have superpowers though, man. But the thing is, Leon didn't kill him. Leon is meant to like crush fucking skulls. Look at what Roy Batty can do. Like,
he can lift. Like he can lift X amount of weight. He can do all, like Leon can do X. They explain what everybody can do. They explain that like, hey,
I'm getting heated.
But I'm saying, go back and read the opening titles. It says, hey, we made Nexus 6 and we gave them emotions, but so they wouldn't go crazy. We only
but they didn't
limited
tell
their
you
life
about
to
Nexus
4 years.
Infinity, bro. They are not going to tell you about their next level
because it don't exist.
Okay.
Because Nexus 7, the one Nexus 7 that exists, is the unicorn.
Well, I think you're believing the goddamn whoever put the goddamn credit roll on more than the movie itself. But that's fine. That's fine. Here's one thing I think we can all agree on. One of the most painful and real scenes I've ever seen is when he's just trying to take a shot of some fucking liquor and like blood comes out. Like, and it's just like, damn, bro, that's bad. Like, he just got his ass kicked, man. Like, you're bleeding into your vodka or whatever the fuck synthahol that is or whatever. Anyway, Brooks, final thought. Is he a replicant? Is he not? Does it matter? What do you think?
I tend to lean to thinking that he probably is. Like, before I would have probably said, nah, he was more human, but the whole, like, the big question is, like, what is human? Like, what sets the replicants apart? Like, because you see the replicant characters, you identify more with them than you really do with any of the human characters. Like, the human characters, most of them are, like, actually kind of pretty bad in a lot of ways. Like, you have the fucking police chief who, like, he's kind of a gruff guy, and he's, the way he says skin jobs.
Yeah, he's a
like,
bigot.
You just feel the contempt.
He's the guy that says he's the Senator Kelly that says
they have to die.
He's the Henry Gyrick that goes muted.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And like
10 years
I
we can't
of, like,
say that
having
word.
Deckard as like a kind of a fail-safe, like a replicant to take care of the bad replicants.
Yeah.
And as for the whole replicants are illegal, like, legality only extends to like a certain strata, sometimes. Like, if the higher ups want to have an illegal replicant to hunt other replicants, they can have it.
There is no
like
law.
The law doesn't apply to them because they're in charge of enforcing the law.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, we're talking about these goddamn replicants that are out there in the galaxy fighting fucking wars and shit, right? They're gonna send
Like, who are they
Harrison
fighting?
Ford, just average ass Joe Harrison Ford after them.
Right.
Like, I don't know,
Exactly.
man.
Average ass Harrison Ford.
I think his like superpower is
Like,
his
Deckard's
detective
character is
skills.
so
He's a
threatening.
detective.
Like,
yeah.
you don't meet any of his friends. You don't know if he has any friends or family or anything. Like, the only person who seems to be familiar with him is, the police chief guy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Nobody has friends in the movie, but the only friends are Pris and Batty's character. You know what I mean? Like,
They're
that's a
all
big part of
replicants,
it's a
bruh.
lonely film.
They're all replicants. They don't know it. That's the whole
Right.
point. They're all replicants. And like, humanity's been
I hate
dead
to have
for
to think
fucking
about this.
thousands of years. Right? This is a whole new concept I've just developed. Humanity's been dead for thousands of years, and these are all replicants replicating each other,
Jesus
thinking
Christ.
they're fucking real, keeping on this hope. So it makes Joe's prediction of like this false hope of the outworlds. No, it's even more false because like there is no outworlds. Like this is just, bro, how sad is this fucking movie?
And we're all
Right.
living in a simulation talking about this movie.
No
that's
shit.
about a simulation.
We're already in the Matrix. It's
Bro.
fine.
I feel like Delaney's hell is us like cutting 3 hours into the future, and we're all like, so then the first Nexus was created in like 1480 during like, just like it's all there on the screen. You just got to put the pieces together.
Yep.
Hell yeah. All right. One
Oh
way
my
we can
God.
get this all a little bit more agreeable and positive is show and tell. So first up for show and tell will be Delaney.
Heyo.
Why not?
What
Why
you
not?
got? You're first in my heart, man.
Riddle me this.
You already brought the pain.
Yeah. Ouch. I got the McFarlane Riddler figure.
What's he sitting on? Is he sitting on that Clint Eastwood chair? What's going on there, man?
He was sitting down on my Kleenex box, and I just decided to have him pull up. But yeah, I like this figure.
The
He's pretty
Kleenex
decent.
box. Is that like an elaborate like set you have where he's got this giant Kleenex box? He's like,
Wouldn't
sneeze,
you like to
Batman, or
know?
you'll die.
Yep. And then, guess we're done with that. Then I'm gonna go to Mike helping me out big time because I didn't know he was gonna get it, but he got it, so I love it. And it's the Alley Viper from G.I. Joe. I'm almost done with this. These are almost the end, but I love this figure. It's a Duke repaint, but I love the shield. I
War
love
Eagle,
all the
baby.
guns. It is War Eagle, absolutely. So I really like that figure. I love the little hood thing. It's got like little teeth. He's got teeth at the bottom of his mouth, and then it's like round hiss. I love it. Got two of them. And then I go back to my mainstays, which I enjoy. I keep knocking my video over. I think I messed up my video again. Hold on.
Well, you're fine, bro.
You look good.
I know. No, you can see me, but I can't see you. There we go. All right.
What?
Something happened to the computer. Technical difficulties. I found this at Target, and I was super excited. I got me a Triclops from the Revelation line.
Bro, you hate that show.
I
Why'd you
hate
buy
the
the
show.
toys from it? You're
I hate
supporting
the
the
show.
show
Right,
by
Skull?
buying the toys,
I know.
man.
I know. I hate the
What
show
is
so
wrong
much.
with you?
Just listen. Just listen. Just freaking listen. I hate Ben Affleck as Batman, but I have a Ben Affleck Batman.
You're the
Because-
problem, man.
No. The reason I have it is because it's a good looking figure.
Such
and I don't care
hypocrisy.
who it is. No, it's not hypocrisy. Screw that.
Fuck
I
Master
like-
Universe Revelations. Hey, check out this Master Universe Revelation figure.
Now listen.
Bro, I ain't
Why
buying
have it?
shit from that show, man. Fuck you, Jelani. You sell out.
No, fuck that. I love this fucking shit. Fuck that. Fuck you for that. But I love this figure. I'm sorry. I love the way the design of it. I love all of it. I
It's
hate-
dope. Too
I
bad he
hate
doesn't.
that it's a.
Too bad he doesn't look like that in the show.
No, he doesn't. Listen. All right, so I got my other Triclops figure beside it. He's pretty decent. Now, this comes in a deluxe pack with like his the way he looks in the show. And I of course threw that away. What a waste of money, but I wanted to get this figure. I really like the way this looks. Also from that show, which I don't like the way they portrayed him at all, but he looks awesome. I'll show you. Bam! That's what I show you. Anyway, that's the answer. I got Scareglow too. I
Bro,
like.
you are the fucking problem.
I love these figures, man. I love them. I absolutely adore them. There's still shit. There are tons of them sitting on the shelves. No one will get them. No one will purchase them.
Yeah.
So-
Well, you did.
Yeah, I did, and they look good. They look fucking good, and I'm gonna go with them until they don't look good anymore. I get the ones I like, and I like this one. And
Does it
glows
glow in the dark? I'm
Well,
curious.
just the head, just the head.
Oh, that's
I
cool.
can't turn any lights off though, but
That's
yeah,
cool
I
though.
like it. I like it. I like it. And then finally, I will end on a McFarlane note because I love Todd and his stuff. But this is by far my favorite so far. I found this yesterday. A Swamp Thing.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
He is very detailed, and he's
That's
very
Except for his
Very-
right hand, apparently.
well. I took his hand off. He has an accessory. This was just the accessory I added, from the thing. But he looks. I mean, all the way around. That's one thing.
Ooh,
But
swamp
look at
butt
that.
crack.
Look at that
Yeah.
ass. Look at that.
he got
Swamp
a
ass.
diaper. He got a diaper
Swamp
ass too.
ass.
He got a soft diaper ass. But the only downside is his feet. They're too tiny, and like he's top heavy, so he falls over a lot.
Those are
But I
some
get
tiny ass
stairs.
feet.
Yeah, he got some tiny
Yeah.
ass feet. That's what they did with the other ones. But that's it. That's all I
He's
got.
got to have some roots, man.
Yeah, I assumed they would give him to him, but apparently not. He likes tiny feet.
Some bush roots.
Bush root.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Butch. You showed that off last time. All right, next up, Verno. Show us what you got.
I got nothing. I got a bunch of toys behind me, but I don't have anything new to show you.
It doesn't have to
Hey,
be
Bruno.
new.
Well, I
Just
guess.
show
Just
something,
grab something.
man.
Grab something behind you.
All right. You know what? I'll be right back. Put me next. Put me next.
He's
I'll
gonna
get
tell me
pick
what
up.
the
He's
fuck
I'm
gonna
gonna get
pick up
something
Grogu
fucking
again.
crazy.
Yeah.
Joke's on Verno. I ain't going back to him at all. All right, next up is going to be
You son
Mike.
of a bitch.
Yeah,
You
man,
muted,
yeah.
my man.
Yeah.
Muted.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, my bad.
Cool,
I always
man.
do this want to show. Two different figures. This is not a repaint of this.
Yes, it is.
So it's a brand new figure. There's
It
nothing.
is- No, it's not. It's
There's
his
nothing-
legs. It's
It's
his
different
legs.
Different legs, Jelani. Go back and look. Different legs.
It's Duke.
It's different. It's different knee joints. It might be the thigh, but the knee
It's
joints.
Duke in the body. It's his boot. It's
Uh-uh.
all of it.
That's all. This right here. This is all new. The butt and the thigh. That's the only thing that's Duke.
This is the butt and the thigh.
Well, okay,
The head
Mike,
is
whatever
the head,
you
the
say.
chest, the head, the chest, the arms.
Sure, Mike.
They're all
You're the
new.
toy guy. Whatever you say, man. Whatever.
That's-
I'm wrong.
that-
Whatever.
I love how even Mike is like contentious in his show and tell.
Right. Look at those knees.
Yeah.
Look at those knees. Those knees look the same. Those look.
Yeah.
Those.
He's
is
Oh,
that-
those are different knees, man.
They're
100.
Does
different
boots look-
knees, but the
Does those
the
boots look the
legs.
same?
The
The
legs
boots look the same.
The
Boots look the
crotch.
same.
Yeah.
Boots
Weird
the same?
stretch,
No.
bro. Weird stretch.
Yeah.
No, it's
You
just
like-
it's odd as shit for him to be like, oh man, that's a complete Duke repaint. Like, what the fuck?
Whatever you
that?
say, man. All I'm saying it's
Uh,
almost over for me anyway. So won't.
Good.
What does that mean? Jelani, you're worth it, man. Come on.
All right, so I'm gonna go with. I don't have the Blu-ray, but I got the DVD of the collector's edition. It's with the slip. So there's that. I showed these off a long time ago, but I got my pops
Nice.
for Blade Runner. A
What
friend
was
of
that?
mine gave
Roy,
me-
Roy and Rachel? Is that what you
Roy
got there?
Rachel and Chris.
Nice.
Decker is somewhere up here. What's the other Roy? A friend of mine made this for me for my birthday last year, and it's really cool. Show it off again. The unicorn.
Oh, that's from
and then-
Legend, right?
Yeah, from Legend. The origami. And then I've got these other Concept Studios.
You a fan of this
Chris.
movie, Mike?
I don't
that
think he
got
likes
hanging
it.
on the other side wall. No, I just went with the Blade Runner. Everything I had Blade Runner themed. And then I'll go with the G.I. Joe again. I've got the new O-Ring, Snake Eyes, and Storm Shadow that came in. And I'm not impressed with these figures at all.
Really?
If you want to scratch that nostalgic nerve, and don't want to pay a lot of money, then get them. But if you want the full nostalgia effect, go ahead and pay the money and get the originals. So it's the same thing with the Masters of the Universe Origins versus the originals. It's different feel, different look,
Gotcha.
and I prefer the originals over these. And I think I prefer the Super 7 figures that are new.
They don't have any articulation, and they're expensive.
Yeah, but these are also 20. It's funny is that everybody's just kind of like, oh, Super 7, these figures are going to like they're $17.99 a piece. Like that's too expensive, and like these are
Is it
$19.99.
Diecast?
These are $19.99.
Wow.
It's $2 more, and it's just kind of like, and it's
That's a
colors-
$20 figure.
yes,
How in the world?
Bruh.
I didn't pay no $20 for that.
Fuck that.
exactly.
No, bump that noise. Yeah.
I said
no,
like,
sir.
if you just want to scratch the nostalgia nerve a vintage GI Joe and don't want to spend, like, if you were gonna go get an original Storm Shadow, it's gonna cost you $125. So either spend $125 or spend $20. Me, I'd spend the $125.
Wow.
All right, Mr. Tyrell. All right, moving on. We got Verno. Show us what you got.
This is my fucking
Jesus
God.
Christ,
I haven't taken this off here in a while.
Oh
This
my
is
God.
the motherfucking Infinity Gauntlet, y'all. Ugh.
In the crap.
It's the real deal.
Oh my
So
God.
it doesn't snap, but yeah, this is it, dude. This is the real thing. Life-size Thanos's gauntlet.
I love it,
And
man.
it's fucking
I'm gonna
heavy,
need,
dude.
I'm gonna need for you to pay my rent for a month, man.
Damn.
You gotta
I
pay my
was,
rent,
I
son.
was,
Jesus.
I don't know. I was in a bad way. I was obsessed with buying crazy shit for a while, but I've been, I've taken it pretty easy.
You win show and tell, dude.
I love it. Like,
Listen,
one day, Verno, I hope this never happens, but maybe in an alternate universe, Verno gets hard up and he's like selling it jewel by jewel, gem by gem at first, right? Until he has to let the whole goddamn gauntlet go. That's awesome, man. I love that, man. All right, next up,
Fucking heavy.
me, Papa Boom. All right. Let's see. So I like was cleaning out my closet the other day. So I finally found my VR troopers with their weapons.
Nice.
So I just want to show these off in like weird stretch that I have the weapons.
virtual
There you go.
reality.
Trooper
Look at that,
transform.
baby.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff there. All right. I also went through and found all my wizards and got them all in order. And I have a severe
wow.
lack of 1 through 30. Okay. But I have like issue 3, issue 13, issue 26, and then I have 27. Or I have like 21 and 27. But this one's still bagged with the Wild Star card. You know how much that's worth? Nothing. But look at that Jim Lee cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really
Are
excited
those
to have
old
that.
wizards? Are they worth money? Any of them?
Maybe the first couple or so.
Right.
But that's about it. They're not worth anything.
The pricing guides.
Don't
yeah.
pay
Well, but I
real
mean, you know,
money for wizards, okay?
nostalgia. You know, I can see it.
Like, dude, Mortal Kombat ad on the back, bro.
Yep.
Come on. Come on. That's nostalgia. My buddy Hammer Time Holshoe got me the James Bond collection on Blu-ray. So I want to know, do I put this in the numbers for 007, the J's for James Bond, or the B's for Bond? Let me know. Let me know
That
in the
is
comments.
Very tricky.
I don't
Picked
do
up
Bond.
the Friday the 13th New Blood. That's
Ooh.
right. This is the first Kane Hodder Jason.
Yeah, it is.
It's my favorite Jason.
That's probably the best
Electricity.
design.
That's dope. And pick this up today. Slug. No, it will always be Slag to me.
It's
I got my
Slag.
Slag. Everybody.
Flag is awesome.
Dinobots.
He is huge. Yeah, and then Sludge comes out soon too. I
Yeah,
can't
very
wait.
excited.
Yeah.
Next up, Joe. Show us what you got.
All right, grabbed a couple of things I figured I'd show.
You got any
I got,
early wizards, my friend?
I don't have any early wizards, but I have the Sal Buscema, the Incredible Hulk, the Hulk
Oh.
Artist Select
Hell yeah.
edition here. It's a little bigger than an absolute. It's a nice little thing here.
Jeez.
Bruh.
It is
That's
signed and numbered by Sal Buscema. There.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Got that. And it also comes with, in the back, they put some transparencies. So they took a
What the
page.
fuck?
Oh,
Damn.
no.
So
Jeez.
yeah, it is. It's a gorgeous set, and it's just huge. Like
That's
having-
is that a color reprint or is it an artist like an artist edition or something?
Oh, it is full color.
Okay. Oh,
Wow.
bro. Dude, when I was a kid, I hated Sal's artwork.
Yeah.
But as I get older, I fucking love it, man.
Oh yeah, in recent years, I've really gotten it. Like Sal, for me, used to be like, oh, I guess all the good, like the really good ones were taken, so they got the middle of the road guy. But as I've gotten older, I've definitely been like, fucking Sal's the man.
Yeah, I did not appreciate his spectacular Spider-Man when I was young and buying it when it was coming out.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's so good. And his stuff on the Hulk, that whole run, like with Bill Mantlo, like if Peter David's run wasn't so long and mostly awesome, I feel like people would have talked more about that run because it's really good. He did interesting things, and we never really went back to that Bill Mantlo era of Hulk that I think's great. It's that classic Hulk. Like when most people think of Hulk, they're really thinking of like that era of like, Hulk, not enemy, just want to live in peace, and we never really got back to that. It's a shame. But
nice.
I have one other thing I want to show
real quick though. I've recently dedicated myself to getting all of the Peter David Hulks.
Nice.
So I should get the Mantlo stuff too, you think?
The Mantlo stuff's really fucking good, yeah. Okay,
because I'm about to pick up a Hulk 340. I'm super excited.
Ooh. Nice.
I found like a 2.0. Anyway, go ahead, Joe.
The other thing I wanted to show was I thought it was time I finally show my Grant Morrison Doom Patrol page.
Oh,
yeah, this here.
Bro, you got the Masonic fucking checkerboard fucking floor and shit.
That's something I could get into, getting original artwork like that. That's
it's a good time, but
good black and white page too with that checker.
Yeah, with the pasted on lettering from Workman and everything.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
Verno's going to start selling gems from that Infinity Gauntlet to buy original artwork.
I need to see all of your stuff, Verno. Good God.
Yeah, Verno's got some cool stuff, man. Look at look at that weird stretch. Like that's how you need to show up at Dylan's horror show on Saturday night, just so you know.
It's a lifestyle. Once you get into that stuff, it's pretty much rap. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's because Sideshow allows like payment plans, man. It changed my life. Almost ruined it.
You like these motherfuckers got layaway? Speaking of layaway, it's Layaway Brooks. You're wrapping us up tonight with show and tell. I know you thought I was about to forget you, man. And Two Gun. Yeah, bruh. I'm down, man. You holler at me. I want every early edition you can get.
Collecting Wizards now. Sad.
Bruh, come on, man.
Sad.
Well, you got to read along with cartoonist kayfabe, man. Come on.
Yeah, I kind of.
Brooks has no idea what that fucking shit meant. Brooks is like, "What's cartoonist kayfabe?"
I've heard of it, but I don't really know.
It's your new favorite YouTube channel outside of me. So there you go.
Yeah, let's kind of grab some robots. So like, here's my Mr. Robot Man and the He-Man.
Yeah.
I think that's Roboto, not Mr. Robot Man.
I like that name better.
He speaks and his gears turn.
Yeah, they killing Revelations. It's stupid. And I love Roboto.
Yeah, but I bet you bought the fucking action figure.
I'll get that motherfucker too. I'll get it. Because if it looks good, I'm going to get it.
I don't know if anybody remembers this guy.
Is that Robbie the robot?
That's Rob the Robot in amiibo form.
Oh my god.
That is cool.
Yeah, bro.
I want an original Rob the Robot.
My best friend had an original Rob in like a Gyromite.
Oh my god, dude. I want that shit. Man.
Yeah, that would be a pretty cool thing. I also picked this up recently. Is the Bee Man, the Man Bee.
Buzz Off is what they call him.
He was the third best of these.
Am I the only one that knows these motherfuckers' names, man? That's Buzz Off. Come on. It's a Mr. B, man. Mr. B.
Yeah. I have the sorcerers too, but I have her like
fucking Robot Man and Mr. B.
It's Jerry Seinfeld from B Movie.
Oh my god.
Good throwback.
I've been reading this like recently because I got the DVDs of that standalone complex series. So I'm like, I want to read Ghost in the Shell again.
Hell yeah, man.
It's not about ghost turtles, like I said before. That was a lie. It's about cyborgs. Also, I picked this up Wednesday. This is the first in the
Nice.
Berserk
I need to get that.
Deluxe Edition set. Comes
Awesome.
with the ribbon.
I love
bookmark. It's
That
nice.
artwork is freaking clean.
Like, I gotta get the second one out because this one ends on like a super fucked up cliffhanger.
Mm.
But yeah, it's like it
Show some interior, Brooks. I've never seen.
yeah,
Oh, that
it
art
has one of the most.
brilliant.
Oh, here's a good one. The dude,
It's so detailed.
Ooh.
Hell
It's
yeah.
so freaking detailed.
very cool. But like the hero of this series is like
Guts.
he's a dickhead. He's like
Yep.
he's really bad. He's not a good dude.
Kind of
But like towards the end of the book,
He was raised
like, it
that way.
starts to reveal why he's like that, which is why I'm like I need to get that next volume when I can get it because it was kind of left at a little bit of a cliffhanger.
That's out of print, right?
I love Berserk. I love absolutely.
Why
love
he bought
Berserk.
that from my shop last week, but like the thing is, they come in and out like that, like
Yeah.
distributors. So last time
Yeah,
I
he got
checked,
me with the FOMO.
we
he's
had
like,
it too. I told him
Bro,
that
this thing
too.
disappear quick.
I did. I was like, bruh, you come back next week,
Very
it's
true,
gonna be
sir.
gone, man. You better get it now, man. I
I
sold.
need to
I
get that.
upsold you 2 times last week on Wednesday, Brooks. I'm proud of
Good
myself.
job, though. And
Yeah, I know it's my job. All right, y'all. That was our show tonight. So thank you so much for joining us. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Check out Verno's channel, The Cerebros. Does great content, doing a new top 5 or top 10, my bad. Top 10 comics looking forward to next week, right?
Doing it.
Hell yeah.
All 10 of them.
Check out my buddy Joe Corralo's got some great books out there right now. Pick up Beckstar.
Thank you.
Pick up Deadbeats Volume 1 and 2. Pick up Lost on Planet Earth. Pick up She Said Destroy and more on the way. Right, Joe?
Yes, absolutely. There's more. There's one that's done that's getting announced soon. There's one I'm in the middle of writing. So things are happening.
Yeah. I want to be one of the first 10 people to read it. Come on, Joe.
You can make that happen.
You know my email. Anyway, Jelani, speaking of email, y'all check out Jelani at Jelani at BladeRunnerSucks.com. And there you go.
Cause it sucks. Cause it sucks.
You can catch Jelani here 2 weeks from now when we talk about what is it? From
Oh,
my
yeah.
heart and from my head, no one understands what my intentions. It's Weird Science next week. Come on, or 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Mike, what's going on with you, man? Where can they find you?
They can find me here next May. I think that's my
What
next
you all
scheduled
need to go
show.
to Mike's Instagram, a brilliant photographer. He has photographed the stars, including the star child, Paul Stanley. So
That is true. I still gotta get you that print of him. But yeah,
and Gene, you said, and Gene,
and Gene.
Paul and Gene.
Yeah, I know they're in my car.
I just can't have Paul in my house. You gotta have Paul and Gene.
I mean, I could probably do y'all. Well, you're getting Paul, Gene, and Eric, and technically, because in that photo of Gene, Eric's in the background playing the drums.
I get it, but most people will be like, "Who's Eric? Did he
True.
sing Beth?" No,
Yeah, well, on the tour he did.
I know.
So-
On the tour he did. Anyway, Mike, brilliant photographer. Check him out on IG. What's your IG handle?
Mike06, or you can find me at Mike06.com. I'll be on the road with the Darkness and the Dead Deads through March and April, so come by and say hey. I'll be
Coming
in the
to a
front
town
pit.
near you, Mike Z6.
Awesome.
I'll keep an eye out for him.
Hell yeah,
I
Brooks.
know I'm meeting Manny.
Brooks, you can find here on PCP, just like Jelani and Mike, one of the OGs. Brooks, you got any final thoughts for tonight, man? I know you always have something profound to say. So you're on the spot. You're ending it tonight, bruh. Tell us what is the most. Just wrap it up, man.
Just wrap it up, eh? I figured you were going to skip the final thoughts tonight, so I didn't put any thought into it, man. I'm sorry.